Chapter 1525. The foreign god was abnormally tyrannical. He took the initiative to charge into the crowd and start a massacre. Clearly, he did not put all the cultivators in the courtyard in his eyes. In the eyes of the foreign god, killing Lin Feng and the others was too easy. Everything seemed to be as the foreign god had expected. When he charged into the crowd, he instantly erupted with tyrannical battle strength. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, he killed several powerful cultivators. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, the attacks of Lin Feng and the others had already landed on the foreign god's body. With so many people attacking, the lethality of the attacks was naturally incomparably strong. However, what Lin Feng did not expect was, when their attacks landed on the foreign god's body, runes actually appeared on the surface of the foreign god's body. Those runes actually dissolved everyone's attacks. Magic immunity. After seeing those runes, Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. This was an abnormally terrifying sacred art. It evolved into mysterious runes that could dissolve all kinds of sacred art attacks. Puff, puff. After the foreign god blocked the attacks of Lin Feng and the others, he then launched an even more tyrannical attack. The scorpion tail stabbed out again and again, stabbing cultivators to death one after another. Meanwhile, the foreign god's two sharp claws and two other blade-like arms began to swing. Cultivators were killed one after another. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 cultivators had been killed by the foreign god. The foreign god's combat strength was too strong, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Kill him at close range. Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. He put away the 9-demon picture and took out the Great Desolate War Spear. With the Great Desolate War Spear in hand, he charged towards the foreign god. The foreign god, who had grasped magic immunity, was difficult to use sacred art to fight against, because any sacred art would be dissolved by the foreign god. Therefore, if they wanted to deal with the foreign god, they would have to fight in close combat. Only in close combat, the best way was to use a powerful weapon to tear his body apart. Many people were like Lin Feng and charged towards the foreign god with all kinds of weapons. Clang, 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 clang. But when everyone's weapons landed on the foreign god's body, a terrifying scene appeared. Everyone's attacks. They simply couldn't break through the defenses of the foreign gods. This foreign god's defense was so strong that it bordered on freakish. Retreat. After his attack failed, Lin Feng's expression changed greatly, and he couldn't help but shout loudly. Everyone retreated. However, the cultivators who retreated a little slower were all killed. No one could withstand the attacks of the foreign gods. This was simply a one-sided massacre. You ants, even if I only use my physical strength, I can still kill you. The foreign realm god's voice was ice cold. He turned into an afterimage, his speed fast to the point where no one could react in time. Cultivators were killed by the foreign realm deity, one after another. This was a terrifying scene. People continued to die. As for the rest, they could only wait for death. Originally, there were more than 100 people in the courtyard, but it didn't take long for only 30 to 40 people to survive. Only fresh blood can excite me. The foreign deities laughed sinisterly, once again pressing over. Amit Ba, good indeed. The holy monk with 10 halos behind his head stepped out. Boundless Buddha light. The holy monk attacked the foreign realm god. Boundless Buddha light lingered. Then, an endless amount of Buddha's light surged out from the void. That dazzling Buddha light swept towards the foreign realm god. Old bald donkey, your cultivation isn't bad, but compared to me, you're still far from it. Unless your emperor comes, who else can suppress me? The foreign realm god's voice was cold. He opened his mouth, and endless demonic chi swept towards the holy monk's attack. The foreign realm god was very arrogant. Even a peerless expert like the holy monk wasn't worthy of his attention. The emperor he spoke of was actually a great emperor. Only a great emperor could suppress him. Was this foreign god in front of him a quasi-emperor? Lin Feng was shocked. If he was a great emperor, then that was too terrifying. Even the holy monk couldn't possibly be a match for the foreign realm god. Bang! At that moment, the foreign realm god's attack collided with the holy monk's attack. As expected, the holy monk's attack was broken by the foreign realm god's attack. The holy monk was forced back by the foreign realm god. "Hurry up and leave," the holy monk shouted. He raised his right hand and used the 10,000 Buddha's greeting, attacking the foreign realm god. This attack could be said to be apocalyptic. However, it was such a terrifying attack. Yet, it couldn't cause any damage to the foreign realm god. The foreign realm god's magic immunity could easily dissolve the holy monk's attack. This made him invincible. The foreign realm god rushed forward and blocked the holy monk's attack with his magic immunity. At the same time, he spat out a ball of black energy. That ball of black energy instantly exploded, and the holy monk was instantly sent flying. With a cry, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The foreign realm god leaped up and charged towards the holy monk, wanting to kill him. "Senior brother!" Immediately, several monks glared at the foreign realm god and charged towards him. Their attacks landed on the foreign realm god, but they couldn't cause any damage to him. Meanwhile, the foreign realm god instantly beheaded the monks. "Don't come over. You're just going to die. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and leave," the holy monk shouted at the others. There were 6 or 7 monks left. Their eyes were filled with tears. "Go," several monks shouted. Then they rushed out. The other cultivators also rushed out of the mansion. Lin Feng turned around and glanced at the holy monk. He couldn't help but feel admiration. The holy monk's sacrifice was admirable, but soon Lin Feng felt very sad. So what if he escaped from the courtyard? He was still in the ancient city, and this place had long become the hunting ground of the foreign realm gods. Early death, late death. The final outcome was the same, right? However, even if there was a glimmer of hope, Lin Feng knew that he couldn't give up. He retracted his gaze and escaped with everyone. In the mansion, amidst the boundless Buddhist light, an ancient Buddha appeared. The holy monk stalled the foreign realm god, but not long after, the Buddhist light dissipated. "Senior brother has passed away." Tears fell from the eyes of the monks. They came out of the Buddhist realm together and walked in the starry sky world. Their feelings were deep, but now, facing the holy monk's death, they were powerless. "You can't escape." In the distance, the foreign realm god's cold voice came. Lin Feng and the others looked over and saw that the foreign realm god was chasing after them. F***CK. A dragon in shallow waters will be toyed with by shrimps, and a tiger in the plains will be bullied by dogs. If this was in the past, I wouldn't be afraid of this bastard at all. Du Zhu shouted in exasperation, but that was in the past. Now, Du Zhu's cultivation base had fallen. Faced with the foreign realm god's pursuit, Du Zhu could only obediently run away. "There's a cultivator here." On the left side of the street, a foreign realm god walked over. Boom. On the right side of the street, there was a terrifying fluctuation. On this street, another foreign realm god also walked over. Lin Feng and the others were pale. They rushed forward, but on the street ahead, another foreign realm god walked towards them. For foreign deities surrounded them. This type of scene simply left them in despair. Chapter 1526. Ha 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 ha. You won't be able to escape, even if you grow wings. The 4 otherworldly gods laughed. In their eyes, Lin Feng and the others were no different from prey. The otherworldly beings had always thought of themselves as high and mighty. They had always looked down on the cultivators of the 3,000 worlds. It was like that in the past. Now, it was the same. It was very infuriating, but what was the use of being angry? The otherworldly gods were too strong. Are we going to die too? A cultivator asked in a trembling voice, his eyes filled with fear. When facing the foreign deities, right now, there was only death. No one could contend against the foreign deities. Amipa. The monks put their palms together, their expressions peaceful. They seemed to have accepted their fate. Boundless Tao Master. The Taoists waved their horsetail whisks and chanted their names. Now, they had completely accepted their fate. Perhaps they had no choice but to accept their fate. The scene in front of them was indeed despairing. Everyone, don't be discouraged. We might not necessarily die. Follow me into the 4 vicious cauldrons and kill that guy in front of us. Lin Feng took out the 4 vicious cauldrons and rushed in first. The others were treating this as a last resort. They all entered the 4 vicious cauldrons. Everyone activated the 4 vicious cauldrons together. Roar, 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 roar. Next, a Taotai appeared. Primal chaos. Qiong Qi. Woo woo. 4 vicious beasts appeared. The 4 vicious beasts roared at the sky, their ferocious might overflowing. With so many experts activating the 4 vicious cauldrons, their power increased greatly. Swoosh! The 4 vicious cauldrons turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed towards the otherworldly god. The foreign god that was walking towards them was the first foreign god that had escaped from the courtyard. This otherworldly god had the body of a human, the tail of a flood dragon, the head of a crocodile, and his body was covered in scales. He was incomparably ugly. When he saw the 4 vicious cauldrons rushing over, the otherworldly god laughed sinisterly. Lowly ants, are you here to throw away your lives? I will destroy this cauldron right now. The otherworldly god raised his right hand and slashed out a terrifying beam of light. This beam of light had the power to destroy the world. Clang! Immediately after, the killing light slashed out by the foreign realm god directly onto the 4 vicious cauldrons. However, the attack failed to tear the cauldron apart. The 4 ferocious cauldron was a supreme treasure forged by 100 human saints. It was no ordinary divine artifact. Moreover, the materials used were very special. How could they be destroyed so easily? The foreign god didn't manage to destroy the cauldron. Instead, the cauldron slammed into the foreign god's body and sent him flying. But what was shocking was that this foreign god actually didn't die from the collision. His defense was so strong that it was a little abnormal. His body flew out and crashed through several houses before finally coming to a stop. In the end, he was buried in the ruins of a 2-story building. Ah! This foreign god roared furiously. He rushed out from the ruins, his eyes flashing with endless killing intent. This foreign deity really wanted to go crazy. In his eyes, Lin Feng and the others were like ants. But now he was sent flying by an ant. To him, this was simply an unacceptable humiliation. You can't escape. The foreign god roared furiously and quickly chased after them. The other 3 foreign gods also chased after them. The 4 vicious cauldrons flew at high speed, and the 4 foreign gods chased after them. In the end, Lin Feng and the others fled to the plaza where Goddess Nua's statue was. There were still a few cultivators who had been chased by the other foreign gods and had fled to this place in a sorry state. As for the 17 foreign gods, they arrived one after another and completely sealed off the plaza. Lin Feng and the others flew out of the cauldrons. Lin Feng put away the cauldrons, his expression extremely grave. 17 foreign gods. Each one was stronger than the last. Now, 17 foreign deities surrounded this place until not even a drop of water could trickle through. As for Lin Feng's side, there were only about 300 cultivators who had been driven here by the foreign gods. Back then, there had been more than 100,000 cultivators who had entered the ancient city. But now, there were only so few left. Clearly, the other cultivators were all dead. It seemed that it was time for this massacre to come to an end. Many people's faces were deathly pale. Now that they were about to die, they only felt a deep sense of helplessness. They couldn't fight against fate. What a pity! There are too few experts in this starry sky world. The slaughter is about to end, but it doesn't satisfy us. A foreign deity said, "These foreign gods only appeared once every 1,000,000 years. Therefore, they were extremely eager to bring in more powerful cultivators for them to kill. This was their only interest in the past 1,000,000 years. There aren't any powerful cultivators, but there is one rather interesting. The foreign god with the body of a human, the tail of a flood dragon, and the head of a crocodile looked at Lin Feng with a sinister gaze. He pointed at Lin Feng and said coldly, "Kid, get the hell out here." Lin Feng pretended not to hear or see anything. "Fuck, I'm talking to you. Get the hell out here." The foreign god was furious, and his killing intent enveloped Lin Feng. "Cough, cough. You're talking to me? Why are you calling me?" Lin Feng realized that he couldn't play dumb, so he stepped forward and asked helplessly, "Kid, was that cauldron yours? Are you disappointed that you didn't kill me?" The foreign god looked coldly at Lin Feng. "Why don't you let me hit you again?" Lin Feng said. The foreign god's mouth twitched violently. The monks, Taoists, and other cultivators all smiled bitterly. At the same time, they admired Lin Feng. Lin Feng actually dared to ridicule the foreign god at a time like this. His courage was truly admirable. "Very good, very good. Since there is someone who doesn't know the difference between life and death, I don't mind killing you." The foreign god's eyes flashed with dense killing intent. He was about to attack Lin Feng. At that moment, a majestic voice rang out between heaven and earth. "Have you forgotten? Nuwa, in order to save the world, used her body to mend the heavens? Have you forgotten? Pangu created heaven and earth, using his body to create worlds. Have you forgotten? Gong, in order to sever the tunnel, rammed into Mount Bujo. Have you forgotten? Swearin, in order to start a fire, brought hope to humanity. Have you forgotten? Fushi, in order to protect humanity, bathed in blood. Have you forgotten? Shenong, in order to cure humanity of all diseases, worked his heart out." One voice after another resounded through the clouds. When they heard those voices, everyone felt as if their blood was boiling. These were the greatest existences in history. Nuwa, Pangu, Gong, the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Even if millions upon millions of eras passed, how could they forget their achievements? "Who is it? Get the hell out here." The 17 foreign gods roared furiously. Their roars shook heaven and earth, shattering the void. Chapter 1527. The foreign gods were furious, and they could no longer remain calm. Nuwa, Pangu, Gong, Fushi, Demon Lord, and other names made them feel terrified. The foreign worlds were high and mighty, and they wanted to rule over the 3,000 great worlds and even control the 3 highest realms. In the past, many great battles had erupted, and they were all related to the foreign worlds. Many experts had appeared in the 3 highest realms and the 3 highest realms. Many of them were enough to make the foreign world's cultivators feel fear. "Come out! Don't hide! Hurry up and come out!" The 17 foreign gods roared furiously. They floated in the air, and their eyes flickered with dense killing intent. They had the strength to turn the world upside down, and only great emperors could kill them. With 17 of them together, how shocking was their battle prowess! It was as if they could destroy 10,000 worlds, shatter mountains and rivers, and destroy heaven and earth. But now, these 17 existences' emotions were fluctuating violently, and they were clearly alarmed and worried. If you don't come out, then we'll slaughter these lowly creatures. One of the foreign gods said coldly. He raised his right hand, about to kill the cultivators in the plaza. Rumble at that moment. An earth-shaking sound echoed through the area. The heaven-shaking steel flew over. A steel? A blood-stained steel. What's the origin of this steel? Many people looked at the flying steel in shock. They didn't know the origins of the steel. Lin Feng was shocked. It was actually the heaven-shaking steel. Previously, the heaven-shaking steel had torn apart the small world and then disappeared without a trace. Now it had reappeared. It's that steel. The foreign gods' voices were cold. These foreign gods clearly knew something about the heaven-shaking steel. Now, they recognized the origin of the heaven-shaking steel. Then, these foreign gods all frowned. The heaven-shaking steel made them think of many things, but soon these foreign gods sneered. It's just a steel. Can't we subdue it? Some of the foreign gods sneered. They were very confident in themselves. Attack! Subdue this steel! Swoosh! 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 The 17 foreign gods shouted coldly and attacked at the same time. They leaped up and charged at the heaven-shaking steel, wanting to suppress it. The sky-shaking steel shook the void. Mysterious phantoms appeared one after another. Mother Nuwa, Pangu, Gonggong, Fushi, the Fiend Lord, all of them were mysterious and unfathomable. Do you remember when the Lord of Gods presided over the heaven-shaking stone steel? He guarded the 3 realms and fought against the foreign realms alone. The heavens wept blood, and blood flowed in the outer realms. Another majestic voice came from the heaven-shaking stone tablet. This happened after the demon Lord sealed the foreign world. The master of the 3 realms, the leader of the gods, had personally come with the heaven-shaking stone steel. He fought a great battle against the foreign cultivators. The images appeared one after another. The cultivators from the foreign worlds rushed out like a tidal wave. One man, one steel, fought a great battle against the foreign cultivators. In the end, blood was spilled. Blood died. The ancient stone tablet read, "Ancestor." Lin Feng was moved. The blood on the ancient stone tablet was the blood of the ancestors of his mother's clan. The Lord of Gods suppressed the alien cultivators and closed the gates to the outer realm, sealing the alien cultivators inside. But in the end, the Lord of the Gods was too heavily injured and couldn't hold on any longer. He died and fell into the boundless starry sky. In the past, many unknown battles happened. Because the history was too long, many of them had long become legends and couldn't be verified. The images just now were intermittent, and it was difficult to truly restore the events of the past. The 17 foreign gods wanted to suppress the heaven-shaking stone tablet, but they didn't expect that the heaven-shaking stone tablet stained with the blood of the Lord of the Gods would be so strange. The heaven-shaking stone tablet descended from the sky, forming a forbidden space that instantly sealed the magic power of the 17 foreign gods. They fell from the sky. Then, the heaven-shaking stone tablet descended on the square. Damn it! It actually sealed our magic power. The foreign gods had gloomy expressions. Not only were the foreign gods' magic power sealed, but everyone's magic power was sealed as well. At this moment, more than 300 cultivators seemed to have seen hope. They've lost all their magic power. This is the only chance to kill them. Instead of sitting and waiting for death, why don't we fight to the death? A cultivator shouted loudly. That's right, let's fight to the death. Immediately after, another cultivator shouted coldly, "At most, we'll be a hero again in 18 years. More and more cultivators responded, "Kill." Many people charged at the foreign gods. The foreign gods laughed savagely. "You lowly ants, do you think that just because our magic power is sealed, you have the strength to fight against us?" These foreign deities stepped forward. Pooh, pooh. The sound of something being torn apart rang out. One cultivator after another died miserably under the attacks of the foreign gods. On the other hand, the foreign gods were completely unharmed under the joint attacks of so many cultivators. The foreign gods' physical bodies were too strong, and they could be considered undying. It was difficult for any attack to injure them. This was practically an invincible position, but the 300 cultivators couldn't stop the foreign gods' attacks. Before long, more than half of them were killed by the foreign gods. "I'll fight to the death with you," a cultivator roared, charging at the foreign gods without fear of death. But in the end, he was still killed by the foreign gods. The battle in front of them was too tragic. Cultivators fell one after another. Their deaths could be said to be incomparably miserable. Looking at the fallen cultivators, Lin Feng's heart was filled with sorrow. He looked at the heaven-shaking steel, but he didn't know if he could lift it now that he had lost all his magic power. Lin Feng rushed over. He tried his best to lift the heaven-shaking steel, but he failed. "Ancestor, in order to seal the foreign gods, you and your steel alone bathed the outer realm in blood. If you have a spirit, please let me carry the heaven-shaking steel and kill these foreign gods." Lin Feng's voice was tragic. This was a moment of life and death. If they couldn't suppress the foreign gods, no one had a chance of survival. Perhaps he had really sensed the arrival of his descendants. The blood on the heaven-shaking steel emitted waves of shocking fluctuations. Then, it formed a connection with the sovereign emperor blood in Lin Feng's body. Then, the blood on the heaven-shaking steel actually took the initiative to flow into Lin Feng's body. This was the blood of his ancestor, and now it had actually fused into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng felt as if his body was about to ignite. He never forgot that Niuhua, in order to save the world, used her body to mend the heavens. He never forgot that Gonggang, in order to cut off the foreign passage, rammed into Mount Buzhou in anger. He never forgot that Fuxi fought a bloody battle and dyed the heavens red. He never forgot that in order to seal the foreign world, the demon lord entered and exited 9 times, and in the end, he was buried in the foreign world. He never forgot that in order to suppress the foreign world, the Lord of Gods shed blood in the outer realm, his blood splattering on the heaven-shaking steel. Lin Feng roared as he carried the heaven-shaking steel. With every step he took, the earth seemed to shake. Lin Feng resisted the heaven-shaking steel and arrived in front of a foreign god. He directly smashed the heaven-shaking steel towards the foreign god. Bang! Even someone as powerful as the foreign god couldn't withstand it. His body collapsed, and his soul was destroyed. Chapter 15:28. You actually lifted the steel. The other gods couldn't believe their eyes. They knew how extraordinary the steel was. How could such a weak cultivator lift such a terrifying steel? But everything in front of them, everything was real. Lin Feng had lifted the ancient steel, and he'd even killed one of their companions. Heavens, even the otherworldly god was killed. Many people were shocked, but then they were overjoyed. Now, they saw hope for survival. I never forgot Xian Xian's achievements. I never forgot Xian Xian's blood. I never forgot Xian Xian's sacrifice, Xian Xian's sacrifice. Lin Feng roared, lifted the steel, and walked towards the second otherworldly god. Kid, you're courting death, shouted the second otherworldly god coldly. He leapt up, his sharp claws clawing at Lin Feng's chest. He wanted to pierce through Lin Feng's chest. He wanted to end Lin Feng's life. Bang! Lin Feng faced the otherworldly god's attack with the steel, and a muffled sound of collision rang out. The second otherworldly god suffered the same fate as the first otherworldly god. His body crumbled, and his soul was destroyed. Another otherworldly god had fallen. Although the otherworldly gods were extremely powerful, they couldn't withstand the steel's attack. The steel was a natural spirit treasure. It had been born before the creation of the world. A treasure like that was too terrifying. Attack together and kill him, roared one of the otherworldly gods. They wanted to surround and kill Lin Feng. The otherworldly gods all charged over. They could see that they couldn't give Lin Feng any chance. Or else, everyone would die one by one. 15 otherworldly gods charged over. It's useless. Your fates have been decided long ago, shouted Lin Feng coldly. At that moment, his sovereign emperor's blood began to circulate wildly. Waves of powerful energy surged out. Lin Feng felt as if the heaven-shaking steel was about to become a part of his body. I will follow in the footsteps of my ancestors and suppress you so-called foreign gods. Lin Feng roared, directly smashing the heaven-shaking stone steel towards the 4 foreign realm gods in front of him. Bang, 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 bang. The 4 foreign gods were sent flying. Their bodies exploded in midair, dying on the spot. This is a good chance. The eyes of the other 11 gods suddenly lit up. They attacked Lin Feng. Their attacks were about to hit Lin Feng, but at this time, these foreign deities were attacked by other cultivators. Bang, bang, bang. Sounds of violent collisions could be heard. Du Zhu and the other cultivators took action at the critical moment, sending the 11 foreign gods flying. Although these otherworldly gods weren't injured, they missed the opportunity to kill Lin Feng. Bam, bam. Lin Feng rushed forward and used the heaven-shaking stone steel to kill another 2 foreign gods. Ah! The foreign gods roared at the sky, mad with hatred. There were also 9 foreign gods that rushed towards Lin Feng. Die! Lin Feng carried the heaven-shaking stone steel and rushed towards the foreign gods, killing 3 of them. The other cultivators blocked the other 6 gods of the other regions. They had bought precious time for Lin Feng. With the heaven-shaking stone steel, Lin Feng was almost invincible. Bang, bang, bang. The foreign gods were killed one after another. These foreign deities were being slaughtered until their hearts trembled. Why is it like this? Only a great emperor can kill us, but now we are actually dying at the hands of a human ant. Some of the foreign gods roared unwillingly. Their strength was so powerful, but now their powerful strength was useless. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately after, the foreign gods were killed one by Lin Feng carrying the heaven-shaking stone steel. After the 17 foreign gods were killed, Lin Feng couldn't hold on any longer. He put down the heaven-shaking stone steel and sat on the ground, panting violently. Lin Feng felt as if the strength in his body had been completely sucked out. An extreme sense of weakness swept over him. Dead. The foreign gods are all dead. We actually survived. There were still more than 100 cultivators left, and they were incomparably excited. It's great to be able to survive. Many people cried, either out of joy or sadness, when they thought of their dead companions. At this moment, the heaven-shaking stone steel soared into the sky. Never forget Shenong tasting the 100 herbs. Never forget Xuanyuan's 9 heavens of weeping blood. Never forget the blood of the saints spilled in the outer realm. Never forget, accompanied by the vast and majestic sound, the heaven-shaking stone steel tore through the void and disappeared without a trace. This mysterious supreme treasure, No one could control it. Quick, collect the origin energy that hasn't dissipated yet. A cultivator said. Duzu shouted. There's no need to touch the origin energy of the foreign gods. Their methods are strange. Refine their origin energy, and perhaps they'll use your bodies to be reborn. You'll be replaced. This was not an exaggeration. Not only were the foreign gods terrifying, but their methods were also strange. They had to be on guard. Many people were so frightened that their faces turned pale. How could they still dare to collect the origin energy of the foreign gods? Loud rumbling sounds could be heard. Are the city gates about to open? Many people were pleasantly surprised. Whoosh, 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 everyone hurriedly rushed outside. Lin Feng stood up and flew outside with Du Zhu. Young master, you look pale. Are you all right? Du Zhu asked worriedly. Lin Feng shook his head and said, I'm fine. I'm just a little weak. The ancient city's gates opened, and Lin Feng and the others rushed out. After that, the ancient city's gates began to close. The ancient starry sky city became empty again. However, a sinister voice suddenly rang out. A descendant of a sovereign emperor's clan. Very good, very good. This is getting interesting. The voice was indescribably sinister and terrifying. The ancient city flew into the depths of the astral world. It was gradually disappearing. How many powerhouses were buried in this strange ancient city? Would there be another reincarnation cycle? After 1,000,000 years, many people who had just survived the calamity looked at the disappearing starry sky ancient city and sighed. Lin Feng and the poison ancestor left without making a sound. The ancient ship continued to sail through the astral world. Lin Feng's body grew hotter and hotter. Young master, you're about to turn into a roasted pig. Are you sure you're all right? Du Zhu saw that Lin Feng's body had turned red and was boiling hot. He immediately cried out in alarm. Damn it, you're the pig. Your whole family are pigs. Lin Feng sent Du Zhu flying with a kick. Nothing good could come out of this bastard's mouth. I'm sure you're all right now, young master. Du Zhu crawled up from the ground and couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng hurriedly returned to his room and sat down cross-legged. He circulated the ancient dragonesque elephant technique and focused on refining the sovereign emperor's blood in his body. This was Lin Feng's ancestor's sovereign emperor's blood. The ancestor who was known as the King of Gods had spilled his blood on the heaven-shaking stone tablet. Now, this sovereign emperor's blood was being passed on to Lin Feng. Chapter 1529. It wasn't easy to refine the ancestor's sovereign blood. However, Lin Feng was still confident. Time passed slowly. The ancient ship flew along the ancient path. After 3 months, Lin Feng finally refined the ancestor's sovereign blood in Lin Feng's body. As the ancestor's sovereign blood was refined, Lin Feng's own sovereign blood also began to awaken. Originally, Lin Feng had only 1 drop of sovereign blood in his body. However, the amount of sovereign blood in his body was increasing. Currently, the immortal god blood occupied about 30% of Lin Feng's blood. Soon, 10% of the sovereign blood had awakened. When 10% of the sovereign blood had awakened, the rate of recovery slowed down. In the end, about 15% of Lin Feng's sovereign blood had awakened. Huff! Lin Feng took a deep breath to calm his excitement. The awakening of the sovereign blood made him very happy. This bloodline was too powerful. Once it was activated, he would be able to unleash unimaginable power. The ancient ship continued to fly. It was a long journey through the universe. For the next half a year, the ancient ship continued to travel through the universe. During this time, they encountered several powerful beasts. Both sides even started to fight. These overlords of the universe were extremely terrifying. Even when Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the God Realm clone worked together, they weren't a match for these overlords. They had no choice but to flee. However, during this half a year of travel, Lin Feng's gains were great. His cultivation base had risen to the peak of the rebirth realm. He was only a step away from breaking through to the God realm. Duzu's cultivation base had recovered to the God Flame realm. The God Realm clone was still at the peak of the Void God realm. Lin Feng planned to return to the Sky Martial Continent and find a powerful flame for his God Realm clone to ignite and break through to the God realm. Now that Lin Feng's cultivation had increased greatly after returning to the Sky Martial Continent, Lin Feng planned to head to the deathly danger zone, the God Falling Cliff, to refine the 8th ranked Black Flame God Burning Flame. He just didn't know if he would succeed this time. After another 3 months, Lin Feng finally saw the Sky Martial Continent. He smiled. After traveling through space for over a year, they were finally about to return to the Sky Martial Continent. Right now, Lin Feng was anxious to return home because he did not know what was going on in the Sky Martial Continent. When he left, the heavenly demons were at their strongest. At that time, the Sky Martial Continent's situation was not very good. The ancient ship continued flying toward the Martial Heaven continent. At this moment, rumbling sounds rang out as a huge planet appeared in the distance. Suddenly, a terrifying, devouring power gushed out from the planet. The ancient ship quickly flew towards the planet. Damn, why is this planet so strange? It can even devour passing ancient starships? Duzu muttered. Lin Feng frowned slightly. This matter was a bit strange. When the ancient ship approached the planet, Lin Feng and Duzu noticed it. How was this a planet? It was a giant starry sky beast. However, this starry sky beast's body was so huge that it was no different from a planet. It's that bastard. When I went to the outer space to train and returned to the Sky Martial Continent, a giant starry sky beast attacked the space-time tunnel. Many people died, miserably. I was lucky and only suffered injuries to my core. I remember this bastard's aura very clearly. Even if 6 or 7 years have passed, and this bastard has turned into ashes, I will still recognize him. Seeing the giant starry sky beast, Lin Feng immediately shouted. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Damn, what are we waiting for? Let's go and kill him. Duzu shouted. Kill that bastard, shouted Lin Feng, summoning his godly clone. Then he attacked. After that, Duzu and his God Realm clone also flew out of the ancient ship. Lin Feng took out the 9 demons painting. The 9 demons painting appeared in the sky. It struck lightly. The void crumbled. The 9 demons painting directly attacked the starry sky beast. Duzu took out the corrupt god saber and slashed it at the starry sky beast. The avatar held the great Baron War spear and thrust it out. 108,000 spear lights surged and shattered the sky. 108,000 spear lights pierced towards the giant star beast. Lin Feng, Duzu, and Duzu's combined attack was too terrifying. Uffed, the starry sky beast's body exploded, dripping with blood. Roar. The starry sky beast let out a pained roar. I want you to die, roared the starry sky beast furiously. Then it opened its bloody mouth and spat out balls of powerful energy that shot toward Lin Feng and the others. The starry sky beast's attack was also very terrifying. Lin Feng and the others did not take the attack head-on. Instead, they quickly dodged. The starry sky beast's body was too big, which was its disadvantage. After dodging the starry sky beast's attack, Lin Feng and the others arrived above it. Then they attacked the starry sky beast. Bang! The starry sky beast's body exploded again. This time, it suffered more damage than the last time. The starry sky beast roared, but it could not dodge the attacks of Lin Feng, Duzu, and the God Realm clone. After all, its body was too big. Swoosh. In the end, the starry sky beast turned into a middle-aged man and fled into the depths of the starry sky world. "Don't run!" Lin Feng shouted. He quickly chased after it with Duzu and the God Realm clone. One ran, and one chased for a day and a night. The starry sky beast's speed was quite fast, but Lin Feng, Duzu, and the God Realm clone were not slow either. It could not shake off Lin Feng and the others. "Is there a need to chase me like this? You're not even missing a hair. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Why don't we make peace?" shouted the starry sky beast helplessly. "Fuck. Now you want to make peace? Do you still remember what happened 6 years ago? You attacked the starry sky tunnel from another planet to the Tianwu continent. I almost died at your hands," shouted Lin Feng. The starry sky beast's face turned green. He finally knew why Lin Feng was so fixated on him. This was a new enmity with an old one. It would be strange if Lin Feng let him go. "Brother, that was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding. Impulsiveness is the devil. Let's talk calmly about the terms of reconciliation." The middle-aged man transformed from the giant star beast shouted. "Fuck, how can you be so shameless? Even I feel ashamed." Poison Ancestor immediately cried out. Lin Feng also rolled his eyes. This starry sky beast's face was as thick as a city wall. Said Lin Feng icily, "We can reconcile, but if you swear allegiance to me, I'll spare your life," said Lin Feng icily. Chapter 1530. "What? You want me to pledge my loyalty to you? You must be dreaming. I'm an overlord of space, a divine flame realm expert. Why would I pledge allegiance to a brat who hasn't even broken through to the God Realm?" After hearing Lin Feng's words, the giant astral beast roared angrily like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. The giant astral beast was proud. Even though it had been defeated by Lin Feng, Duzu, and the deity's clone, it was still impossible to make the giant astral beast submit. "Pledging allegiance to me is the best choice. I'm giving you a chance, so you should seize it and not waste it." Lin Feng crossed his hands behind his back and looked at the giant astral beast with an indifferent expression. "If you want to subdue me, you'll have to show me your strength. If you can defeat me, I'll immediately recognize you as my master. If you can't defeat me, you'll let me go. How about it?" The giant astral beast was indeed cunning. It had probably said so much just to pave the way for this sentence. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, "Sure. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The giant astral beast was overjoyed and pounced at Lin Feng. "Attack! Let's kill him together." Lin Feng waved his hand and shouted. He, Duzu, and the deity's clone attacked the giant astral beast together. The giant astral beast roared, "You didn't keep your word. You said it would be a one-on-one battle, but now you're attacking me together." Lin Feng said, "It's a one-on-one battle, but you're going to fight all of us alone." The giant astral beast felt like vomiting blood when he heard Lin Feng's words. He felt that he was a shameless person. He hadn't expected to meet someone even more shameless than Lin Feng today. Boom! The battle erupted again. Lin Feng used the 9 demons painting to suppress the giant astral beast. The deity's clone wielded the great desolate war spear and swept it at the giant astral beast. Duzu took out the heretical god blade, tore through the void, and slashed out. The giant star beast opened its mouth and spat out a powerful treasure. It was a pitch-black demonic sword. The demonic sword was 3 meters long, 30 centimeters wide, and 15 centimeters thick. The blade of the sword had been sharpened to an extreme degree. This giant sword was obviously a power-type supreme treasure. The giant beast of starry sky had a huge body, so its strength was astonishing. Therefore, the combination of this giant sword and the giant beast of starry sky complemented each other and could display the giant beast of starry sky's strongest combat power. Clang, clang, clang. A series of collision sounds were heard. The giant beast of starry sky wielded its giant sword and engaged in a fierce battle with Lin Feng and the other two. After a dozen or so exchanges of blows, the giant beast of starry sky was swept away by Lin Feng's 9 Devils diagram. Although the giant beast of starry sky was powerful, it was only one person after all. Now that Du Zhu's cultivation had recovered to the divine fire realm, Du Zhu himself could suppress the giant star beasts. Moreover, with Lin Feng and the godly state clone, the giant star beast of starry sky's defeat was already destined. After the giant star beast of starry sky was sent flying, the 9 Devils diagram quickly enlarged and covered the sky, covering the giant star beast of starry sky. Then, the 9 Devils diagram descended from the sky like an ancient mountain and suppressed the giant star beast of starry sky. The giant star beast of starry sky swung its giant sword at the 9 Devils diagram. Du Zhu and the godly state clone helped to activate the 9 Devils diagram. The power of the imperial weapon was revealed. The giant star beast of starry sky could not break free from the 9 Devils diagram suppression. Instead, under the suppression of the 9 Devils diagram, it could barely move. Lin Feng walked in the void, that great path of purification. Lin Feng began to recite the incantation for the Great Purification Technique. Great Purification Technique. You're going to use the Great Purification Technique to purify me. The starry sky gigantic beast was extremely knowledgeable. When it heard the first chant, it knew what Lin Feng was going to use. It was the Great Purification Technique, an extremely powerful skill. The giant star beast of starry sky knew very well what would happen if the Great Purification Technique was used on him. Himself. He would be purified. Then he would become Lin Feng's slave. The giant star beast of starry sky shuddered when it thought of this. It was hard to imagine how terrifying it would be to be purified, become a slave, and lose oneself. At that time, it would not be able to commit suicide even if it wanted to. At that time, it would only think of how to be loyal to its master. It would not think of committing suicide at all. Stop! Stop right now! The giant star beast of starry sky cried out in horror. Lin Feng looked at the giant star beast of starry sky indifferently and said, "Do you think I'll stop just because you ask me to? I'm willing to submit. I'm willing to serve you as my master and be loyal to you." The giant star beast of starry sky cried out, "Tui, you want to be loyal to me now? Don't you think it's too late? I'll just purify you and make you my slave. Wouldn't that be better?" Lin Feng sneered. The giant star beast of starry sky said, "Master, if you purify me, I'll be like a walking corpse. I'll have no interest in living. How interesting would that be? I'll use my soul to pledge my loyalty to you. From now on, I won't betray you. Moreover, I won't become a walking corpse. That way, when you're bored, I can accompany you and chat. Master, please give me a chance. You're really thick-skinned. You're making me feel embarrassed to purify you." Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Then he said, "Since the heavens are kind, pledge your loyalty to me now." "I swear to the heavens that I'll pledge my loyalty to you, Master. If I violate this oath, my soul will be destroyed, and I'll die a horrible death." The giant star beast of starry sky pointed at the sky and swore. In an instant, 2 runes of oath condensed. 1 rune of oath flew into Lin Feng's forehead, while the other flew into the giant star beast's forehead. They were bound by the oath rune. Once they betrayed Lin Feng would be able to sense it through the oath rune. He could then activate the oath rune and instantly exterminate the soul of the star beast. Of course, if Lin Feng didn't do anything, the heavenly Tao would punish the giant star beast and destroy his soul. This was because the giant starry sky beast had sworn an oath to the heavens. No one could go against the oath of the heavenly Tao. After the giant starry sky beast finished its oath, Lin Feng removed the 9 devils diagram. "What's your name?" Lin Feng asked. "My name is Nalen Wuhan," the giant star beast said. "All right, follow me back to the martial heaven continent." Lin Feng waved his hand and brought everyone back to the ancient ship. Then, the ancient ship descended towards the sky martial continent. As soon as they came out of the atmosphere, they saw billions of dazzling golden lights blotting out the sky. Majestic Buddhist chants resounded through the clouds. In the distance, a huge Buddha appeared in the depths of the golden light. That Buddha was billions of meters tall, like the Buddha of the Buddhist world. It was eternal and immortal. This is the territory of the Western Buddhist kingdom. Lin Feng was startled. They had landed in the Western Buddhist kingdom, the most mysterious of the 3,000 provinces of the martial heaven continent. Namo Amit Ba. Suddenly, a strange thing happened. The giant Buddha that appeared in the golden light suddenly chanted Buddhist mantras, opened its huge eyes, and looked at the ancient ship in the starry sky. Chapter 1531. Such a gigantic Buddha appeared. Lin Feng had initially thought it was just a Buddhist chi from the Buddhist country of the West. Although it had the form, it didn't have any spirituality. However, things had gone beyond Lin Feng's expectations. This Buddha was too strange. It seemed to have its own thoughts. Now that those huge eyes were looking over, he wondered what this giant Buddha was thinking about. "Benefactor, where did you come from? Where did you go?" The Buddha suddenly asked. "I was originally a cultivator of the martial heaven continent. I traveled around the outside world and have now returned to my homeland." Lin Feng said, "The sea of stars is boundless. What has Benefactor seen and heard?" Asked the Buddha. Lin Feng said, "There are many extraordinary places in the starry sky. There are mysterious and ancient races there, as well as dazzling civilizations. Benefactor, could you please come to the Western region's Buddhist kingdom? At that time, you can discuss the Tao and the outside world with this poor monk." This Buddha was filled with many strange things, so Lin Feng was very cautious when facing it. He said, "I'm truly sorry. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you this time. I still have some urgent matters to attend to. Once I'm done, I'll pay you a visit. Benefactor, we'll take our leave now." Rumble! The ancient starry sky ship crushed the sky, rushing into the distance with lightning speed. Lin Feng wanted to leave the Western region's Buddhist kingdom as soon as possible. The Western region's Buddhist kingdom was filled with strange things. Lin Feng was actually in awe of Buddhism. For example, the monks he had seen in the outside world were all benevolent and selfless. Those people were truly benefactor. However, the Western region's Buddhist kingdom was different. The Western region's Buddhist kingdom was a huge empire built on the foundation of Buddhism. Since it was an empire, there were too many conflicts of interest involved in this. Buddhism paid particular attention to the purity of the 6 senses and didn't involve any conflicts of interest. The Western region's Buddhist kingdom went against Buddhism's principles. From Lin Feng's point of view, the Western region Buddhist kingdom of the sky martial continent was more like a giant power under the guise of Buddhism. They cultivated the divine powers of Buddhism, but they merely cultivated the divine powers. They did not believe in the teachings of Buddhism. In essence, the Buddhist kingdom of the Western regions was not a true Buddhism. For a Buddhist kingdom in the Western regions that prioritized benefits above all else and had cultivated various Buddhist divine powers, this was not the case. Lin Feng naturally had to stay at a respectful distance. Buddhism had many mystical abilities that were extremely terrifying and strange, such as the Great Purification technique. Therefore, once one entered the Western region Buddhist kingdom, anything could happen. They had to be on guard against this. One must always be on guard against others. Seeing Lin Feng's ancient starry sky ship about to leave, the giant Buddha suddenly spoke up in a cold voice. This poor monk kindly invited Benefactor to discuss Buddhism and Tao, but Benefactor actually turned a deaf ear to it. Could it be that Benefactor's words deceived this poor monk? Benefactor is not a cultivator of the sky martial continent. In the past few years, foreign devils have been constantly entering the sky martial continent. It seems you are also foreign devils. Today, this poor monk must exterminate these devils and protect the Tao, returning the world to its former glory. As soon as he finished speaking, the giant Buddha directly extended his right hand. That giant hand seemed to cover the sky as it grabbed at Lin Feng. This grab seemed to cause heaven and earth to collapse. What a good bald donkey. If you want to capture us, just say so. Why do you need to find such sanctimonious excuses? Attack together and kill this bald donkey, shouted Lin Feng furiously. He immediately took out the 9-demon painting and threw it towards the gigantic hand. The god Realm Clone swung the great desolate war spear, sending out 108,000 spear strikes. Duzu took out his heretical god blade. The heretical god blade flew out, tearing through the void. The giant star beast swung its devil sword, sending out sword light. Bang! The attacks of the two sides collided. The world shook. The giant Buddha was shaken. Its body swayed a few times. As for the ancient ship, it was sent flying by the energy fluctuations. What a powerful foreign devil! Buddhas, return to your positions and lend me a hand, roared the giant Buddha. His voice resounded above the Buddhist kingdom of the Western region. In the Buddhist kingdom of the Western regions, all the monks in the temples began to chant sutras. At the same time, countless Buddhist people knelt on the ground, kowtowing 3 times and kowtowing 9 times. Faith energy was constantly being generated and poured into the giant Buddha's body. Not good. This giant Buddha is extremely strange. It can actually absorb faith energy and activate the ancient ship with me. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape, shouted Lin Feng. Boom! Lin Feng, Duzu, the giant star beast, the god Realm Clone, and the 3 poisonous puppets all supported the ancient ship's spatial jump formation. This was the power of the ancient ship. It could perform spatial jumps. In the blink of an eye, it could travel hundreds of thousands of li. You evil creatures, your souls are so evil. Only by bathing in the holy light of Buddhism can you cleanse your evil souls. The giant Buddha's voice was loud and clear. Suddenly, a thick golden energy turned into a long river and rushed into the parallel space. It quickly caught up with the ancient ship. When they felt the golden energy surging towards them, everyone felt a chill run down their spine. Lin Feng's feeling was the most direct. He felt that the golden energy was very similar to his great purification technique. It was a kind of energy that could forcefully purify others. Quick, quick, quick! Perform the spatial jump. If we're hit by the golden energy, I'm afraid we'll become the giant Buddha's slaves, shouted Lin Feng. Boom! Boom! No one dared to hesitate. The spiritual energy in their body continuously flowed into the ancient ship's spatial jump formation. The golden energy was about to drown the ancient ship. At this critical moment, Yi Zichen was stunned. Lin Feng and the others finally activated the spatial jump formation of the ancient ship and quickly jumped out. As for the giant Buddha's attack, it hit nothing but air. It was very difficult to catch up with the ancient ship after jumping a dozen times. Finally, the ancient ship left the Buddhist kingdom of the West. What is this place? asked Duzu. It's close to the Buddhist kingdom of the West. This should be the Tiandao prefecture, right? Said Lin Feng. He narrowed his eyes. At this moment, Lin Feng thought of many things. In the past, he was wanted in the divine prefecture of the East Province. Zi Yuan had accompanied him all the way from the divine prefecture of the East Province to the desolate region. In the desolate region, he had met Lan Ruo of the Tiandao prefecture. Lan Ruo had wanted to bring Zi Yuan, who had awakened her ancestral blood, back to the sect so that Zi Yuan wouldn't have any more fetters. She had even wanted to kill him. At that time, the disciple called Wang Ziyu couldn't bear it and told him the news. He wanted to let him go, but Lan Ruo had killed him. So many years had passed, but Lin Feng had never forgotten about this. Now, he had returned to the Tianwu continent. He had actually come to the Tiandao prefecture. This was Lan Ruo's territory. Chapter 1532. The Heavenly Tao Holy Land was the #1 power in the Heavenly Tao state. This power was extremely mysterious. In fact, even the Heavenly Tao state was an incomparably mysterious state in the Sky Martial Continent. The two words Heavenly Tao contained too many meanings and could not help but let one's imagination run wild. Since he had come to the Heavenly Tao state, Lin Feng planned to take a look at Zi Yuan. It had been more than 10 years. He wondered how Zi Yuan was doing right now. Lin Feng kept the ancient ship, and then, together with Du Zhu and the giant star beast, they chose a direction and quickly flew in that direction. It had been more than 2 years since they left the Sky Martial Continent and returned to the Sky Martial Continent. Therefore, Lin Feng did not know what the situation in the Sky Martial Continent was like. Now, he planned to find a place to inquire about the situation in the Sky Martial Continent. 3 days later, a small town appeared in their line of sight. The town was not big, and there were no powerful cultivators. It was very difficult to obtain any useful information here. However, Lin Feng found out about the nearest city in the town. This city was called Dragon Lake City. It was the imperial capital of the Dragon Lake Kingdom. This Dragon Lake Kingdom was a country of cultivators, and there were many cultivators coming and going. Dragon Lake City was very lively, people came and went, and all kinds of hawking sounds could be heard. This is the aura of the mortal world, Du Zhu said with emotion. After sailing in the starry sky world for so long, it was obvious that Du Zhu also missed the beauty of this colorful world. Lin Feng understood Du Zhu very well. Du Zhu, this guy, was full of tricks. Of course, this was understandable. After all, they were all men. Many people said that men were animals who lived with their lower bodies, and it was not without reason. After arriving at Dragon Lake City, Lin Feng went straight to the Mercenary Association. Usually, the Mercenary Association was the place where information gathered the most. Because this was the place where people from all walks of life gathered, the Mercenary Association had a wide range of information. After asking around in the Mercenary Association, Lin Feng had a more direct understanding of the situation in the Sky Martial Continent. In the year after he left, the heavenly demons had continuously invaded many states. However, the situation had changed greatly. First, many powerful beings from the outer realms had descended on the Martial Heaven continent. Immediately afterward, cultivators from the 9 regions continent on the other side of the endless sea also arrived after experiencing dangers. With the addition of these 2 powers, the situation in the Sky Martial Continent became extremely chaotic. The 4 forces kept going back and forth, fighting against each other. In the end, a balance was formed. The Sky Fiends occupied 300 prefectures. As for the extraterrestrial beings, they occupied 250 prefectures. The cultivators of 9 regions occupied 210 regions. There were also some prefectures where fishes and dragons were mixed together. There were cultivators from the Marshall Heaven continent, as well as people from the 9 prefectures. Of course, most of the prefectures were still in the hands of the major powers of the Sky Marshall continent. After all, the Sky Marshall continent also had a few powerful guardians. Furthermore, he was in possession of several imperial weapons. Therefore, it was still considered the strongest among the 4 forces. In addition, Lin Feng also inquired about the country of desire. After the Sky Marshall continent's 4 great powers made peace, Dragon Palace joined forces with several other forces to launch an attack on Country of Desire. The main reason was that Country of Desire was too strong, and it was a force that rose quickly during the war. As a result, it became a thorn in the side of many people. After all, Country of Desire had gathered many experts. Furthermore, Country of Desire had the Longevity Bell, an imperial weapon. It was not easy for Dragon Palace and the other forces to destroy Country of Desire. However, under the joint suppression of Dragon Palace and the other forces, Country of Desire still suffered heavy losses, and their sphere of influence was greatly reduced. Furthermore, the experts in Country of Desire left one after another, and their strength was far from the past. Perhaps they felt that Country of Desire could no longer pose a threat. As a result, Dragon Palace and the other forces did not continue to pursue and attack. Now, Country of Desire became very low-key and acted cautiously. When he found out that Country of Desire was suppressed by Dragon Palace and the other forces and suffered heavy losses, Lin Feng's expression was very ugly. Back then, the Sky Fiends wreaked havoc in the Eastern Sea world, and the people were plunged into misery and suffering. Dragon Palace and the other major forces avoided it, as if they did not know about it. It was Lin Feng who led the Country of Desire's cultivator army. He first fought with vast domain demon ancestors' demon slave army and killed him. Later on, he fought an even more intense battle with Mosei Tianzuan's cultivator army. In this battle, Lin Feng almost died in the void world that was wreaking havoc in time and space. As for Dragon Palace and the other forces, they did nothing. Now that the 4 great powers had signed a ceasefire agreement, they joined forces to suppress Country of Desire. In fact, it was to snatch Country of Desire's territory and resources. After leaving the Mercenary Association, Lin Feng directly sent Du Zhu and the giant star beast to Country of Desire to take charge of the situation. Du Zhu was in charge of dispatching the army to counterattack Dragon Palace and the other forces, while the giant star beast was in charge of the complicated construction of the temple. Lin Feng had already obtained great benefits from the construction of the temple. Sky Marshall Continent was much bigger than the Banished World. It was also the most suitable place to build the temple. After receiving Lin Feng's order, Du Zhu and the giant star beast took Lin Feng's token and headed to Country of Desire. As for Lin Feng, he rested for a day in Dragon Lake City. Then he set off for Heavenly Dao Sect. Heavenly Dao Sect was located in the Heavenly Dao Stone Forest in the center of Heavenly Dao State. It was rumored that there was the largest stone forest in Sky Marshall Continent there. The stone forest stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles and had a long history. Moreover, there were many places where the Heavenly Dao's aura was left behind. It was a good place to comprehend the Dao. Many people went to Heavenly Dao Sect because of its reputation, wanting to enter Heavenly Dao Sect to cultivate. However, it was not an easy task to join Heavenly Dao Sect. Lin Feng flew all the way in the direction of Heavenly Dao Sect. His heart was not calm. After being separated for 10 years, what kind of attitude would Zi Yuan have when she saw him? Would she be cold and indifferent, or would her feelings be the same as before? 10 years was enough to change many things. As for the human heart, it did not need 10 years to change. Many times. Just one thing could change a person's heart. When Lin Feng passed by a mountain range, he heard earth-shaking shouts. There seemed to be a sect located in the mountain range. Now, that sect was being besieged by a dense group of cultivators. Lin Feng looked from afar and was very surprised. This was because many of the cultivators besieging that sect were from the outer realm. There were even experts from the Heavenly Devil clan. Why are these outer realm beings and heavenly devils besieging such an inconspicuous sect? Lin Feng was very puzzled. Whoosh! At this moment, a woman flew over from afar. That woman quickly flew in Lin Feng's direction. Behind her were densely packed outer realm beings and 4 or 5 powerful heavenly devils that were chasing after her. Chapter 1533. The female cultivator, who flew over from afar, was dressed in white. Her face was covered, so he couldn't see what she looked like. However, her figure was very alluring. A woman with such a good figure should be very beautiful, right? Of course, there were also many women with hot figures but ordinary faces. You can't leave. Hand it over. The extraterrestrial beings and the sky fiends behind her shouted coldly. Terrifying killing intent surged out. Lin Feng muttered, "What could make these extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends so crazy? Fellow Taoist, save me." When the female cultivator saw Lin Feng, she seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "There are so many people chasing you. How can I save you? Wouldn't that be asking for trouble?" The female cultivator said, "I have a huge secret on me." This woman was indeed not simple. Lin Feng grabbed her soft, jade-like hand and rushed into the distance. "Kid, put that woman down." "Kid, are you courting death? You dare to save the person we want to deal with?" The group of extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends immediately roared in anger, their eyes spitting fire. If looks could kill, Lin Feng had already been cut to pieces by the terrifying looks of the extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends countless times. Lin Feng didn't care about the Devamara and the foreign creatures. He stepped on the 8 directional worlds and increased his speed to the maximum. He took the female cultivator and rushed into the distance. There were many experts among the extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends. Lin Feng was not stupid enough to stay behind and fight to the death with them. After running for thousands of kilometers, they finally shook off the extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends. Lin Feng and the female cultivator landed beside a small stream. Lin Feng said, "You can tell me your secret now. I'm very curious. What kind of secret could make so many extraterrestrial beings and sky fiends go crazy?" The female cultivator said, "Secret? What secret? Did I say I had a secret?" The corners of Lin Feng's mouth twitched violently. This woman changed her face faster than flipping a book. "Are you trying to act shamelessly?" Lin Feng glared fiercely at the female cultivator. The female cultivator said, "Can you not slander me?" Lin Feng said, "Since you won't admit it, it looks like I'll have to search you myself and see if I can find any secrets from you. But don't blame me if I touch something I shouldn't touch." After saying that, Lin Feng stretched his hand out to grab the female cultivator. "Damn hooligan, do you believe that I will castrate you?" The female cultivator glared fiercely at Lin Feng. At this moment, she finally revealed her true nature. Lin Feng said, "I admit that I'm a hoodlum. Please remove the word stinky from my name." Lin Feng did not stop. This woman had a big secret on her body. Now, this woman was acting shamelessly and wanted to keep the secret for herself. How could Lin Feng let her succeed? "Humph!" The female cultivator snorted and waved her right hand. Suddenly, a Milky Way world appeared. The Milky Way world stood between her and Lin Feng. Immediately after, the female cultivator quickly retreated. She smiled and said, "Once I use this descent of the Milky Way, it looks like we're very close, but it's like we're separated by a river of stars. It's boundless, so don't even think about catching up to me. Thank you for bringing me out. Let's meet again." Lin Feng's expression did not change. He said, "You clearly have the means to escape from those pursuers, and you're still asking me for help? What is the meaning of this? Since you dared to stand there and watch, it means that your cultivation is extraordinary. If you can bring me out of here, I'll save a lot of effort. If you can't, you'll offend those pursuers because you helped me. I'll find an opportunity to throw you to them. They must hate you very much. When the time comes, they'll deal with you and buy me a lot of time. Why not?" The female cultivator said. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "What a good plan. I have to say I admire you. However, you neglected one thing. Do you think you can escape from me? Do you think you can escape from me just because you want to?" Lin Feng leaped out and directly passed through the Milky Way world. When the female cultivator saw this scene, her expression changed again. Clearly, at this time, she realized that she had underestimated Lin Feng's ability. Whoosh! The female cultivator turned and rushed into the distance. Lin Feng chased after her. With the female cultivator's speed, there was no way she could escape from Lin Feng's hands. It was not very likely. Lin Feng caught up to the female cultivator. "Looks like I'll have to destroy a flower today." Lin Feng directly grabbed the female cultivator. The female cultivator turned and slapped at Lin Feng. Bang! The two sides collided, and the female cultivator was forced back by Lin Feng. Deity realm? Lin Feng frowned slightly. This female cultivator was actually a deity realm expert at such a young age. This really surprised him. However, against Lin Feng, the female cultivator's strength was still lacking. Lin Feng stepped forward and slapped the female cultivator 3 times in a row. The female cultivator's magic power was almost scattered. The difference in strength between the two sides was quite large. The female cultivator was not Lin Feng's match at all. Lin Feng raised his right hand and was about to capture the female cultivator. Wah! Suddenly, the female cultivator burst into tears. Lin Feng was speechless when he heard her cry. It was as if he was bullying the weak. Lin Feng said helplessly, "Why are you crying?" The female cultivator said, "The Scarlet Sun sect passed down by my ancestors was just destroyed, and you came to bully me. How can I not cry? You're the person whose sect was destroyed." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly and couldn't help but look at the female cultivator. "Yes, I'm the current sect leader, Scarlet Sun Sun Air," the female cultivator said. "Why did they destroy your sect?" Lin Feng asked. "It's a long story. My sect passed down a very ancient item that attracted the interest of the extraterrestrial beings and demons, so we encountered a great disaster," Scarlet Sun Sun Air said with tears in her eyes. "Seeing my family and fellow sect members killed one after another, my heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife, but I knew that I had to live on. I had to revive the Scarlet Sun sect." Lin Feng asked, "What's that ancient item? Can you let me take a look? Don't worry, I won't be greedy for your ancestral treasure. I'm just curious." Lin Feng said, "All right, you're a man. You must keep your word," Scarlet Sun Sun Air said. "Of course." Lin Feng nodded. "It's this treasure." Scarlet Sun Sun Air stretched out her right hand. There was an 8 trigrams furnace in her right hand. Suddenly, the lid of the 8 trigrams furnace opened on its own. Then, a powerful devouring force surged out and enveloped Lin Feng. The 8 trigrams furnace directly swallowed Lin Feng. Chapter 1534. He, you've been fooled again. I'm not the Scarlet Sun sect leader, and I'm not from the Tianwu continent. I'm the daughter of the ancient demon star's demon sovereign. The female cultivator giggled. It was obvious that her name was not Scarlet Sun Air. It was just a fake name. You're a heavenly demon? Lin Feng did not seem to be worried about being trapped in the 8 trigrams furnace. Instead, he asked calmly, "You're the heavenly demon. Your whole family are heavenly demons." The female cultivator snorted and said, "Can't you tell? I'm a human." "So you're a demon Tao expert. Where's the ancient demon star?" Lin Feng asked again. The female cultivator thought for a moment and said, "Why should I tell you? I won't tell you." Lin Feng said, "Why did you put me in the 8 trigrams furnace? Do you want to use me to concoct medicine?" "Concoct medicine? No. I'm not interested in concocting medicine. I just got a map from the Scarlet Sun sect, and I'm going to the secret treasure trove now. I don't know if there are any special conditions to open it, such as a blood sacrifice. If there are, I'll use your blood as a sacrifice." The female cultivator said, "A woman's heart is the most poisonous. It seems that this saying is not wrong." Lin Feng sighed. I'm the demon sovereign's daughter. I've seen all kinds of deception since I was young. What happened today is nothing. If I don't scheme against an idiot like you, who else can I scheme against?" The female cultivator said with a smile, "Little girl, I'm afraid you're indulging in fantasy." Lin Feng sneered. The female cultivator pursed her lips. She was about to mock him when she suddenly felt that something was wrong. The voice was coming from behind her. The female cultivator turned around and saw Lin Feng standing 3 meters away, looking at her with a faint smile. "How is this possible? Weren't you put in the 8 trigrams furnace?" The female cultivator screamed. She could not believe what she was seeing. Lin Feng smiled. "I'm sorry, but when you used the 8 trigrams cauldron to capture me, I used the sky patching technique. My real body disappeared into the empty space. What you captured was just a clone, that's all," said Lin Feng, smiling. The female cultivator thought that she had been fooled by Lin Feng, but now she realized that Lin Feng was fooling her. This made the female cultivator was furious. She had always been fooling others. When had been fooled did Lin Feng want to play with him? The female cultivator wished she could slap this bastard who dared to trick her to death. "You saw through my plan, right from the start." The female cultivator glared at Lin Feng heaven. "Your chest doesn't look big. Why are you so brainless?" Lin Feng glanced at the woman's breasts and pursed his lips. Seeing Lin Feng's disdainful look, the female cultivator Lin Feng was furious. Her breasts were not big. They were clearly very big, okay? The female cultivator purposely straightened her back and said fiercely, "Open your eyes. Is this what you call not big?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'll know if they're big or not after I try them. Why don't you let me try?" "You scoundrel!" The female cultivator Lin Feng sent a palm strike at Lin Feng. Lin Feng countered with a palm strike, and the female cultivator Lin Feng was forced to retreat. The two of them had already fought before. Although the female cultivator was also in the deity realm, she was no match for Lin Feng. You, how can you be so powerful?" The female cultivator, Lin Feng, bit her lip in disbelief. Lin Feng's body did not have any divine power fluctuations, which meant that he had not broken through to the deity realm. Being able to suppress her without breaking through to the deity realm was too abnormal. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Am I very powerful? I don't think I'm particularly powerful." The female cultivator, Lin Feng, gritted her teeth and asked, "You still haven't told me how you saw through my plan." Beauty, this is the Tianwu continent. There are very few experts in the Tianwu continent and even fewer deities. Do you think this is the outer realm? How can an ordinary sect leader reach the deity realm? Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. When the female cultivator Lin Feng heard that she was the sect leader of the Flaming Sun sect, Lin Feng knew that she was full of lies. Those words might be able to deceive cultivators from the outer realm or the 9 provinces continent. After all, those cultivators had not been in the Tianwu continent for long and did not know much about the various factions. However, it was impossible to deceive Lin Feng with such nonsense. Lin Feng had lived in the Tianwu continent for many years, so he knew very well what kind of experts there were in the Tianwu continent. How could he be so easily deceived? So be it. Now, this great ant will let you have a taste of my 8 trigrams furnace's power. The female cultivator snorted and waved her right hand. Suddenly, the 8 trigrams furnace flew out. The 8 trigrams furnace shook slightly in the air. Suddenly, waves of destructive power surged out. The 8 trigrams furnace quickly grew in size and soon became as big as a mountain, pressing down on Lin Feng. This was an extremely powerful treasure. Its power was astonishing, and it could suppress all the gods and devils in the world. The female cultivator immediately shouted proudly, "Brat, do you think that just because your cultivation is stronger than mine, you can defeat me? Let me tell you, you are still far from it. This great ant has a treasure, so I can use it to smash you to death." Boom, boom. With that, the 8 trigrams furnace pressed down on Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "Your treasure is indeed not weak, but compared to my treasure, it's far inferior." Lin Feng immediately took out the 9 devils picture. The 9 devils picture soared into the sky. Endless devil chi churned. The devil chi that blotted out the sky enveloped the world. As the devil chi spewed out, the 9 devils picture had already collided with the 8 trigrams furnace. Clang! A loud sound rang out. The 8 trigrams furnace was sent flying by the 9 devils picture. 9 devils picture. This is the Heavenly Devil Clan's imperial weapon, the 9 devils picture. How did you get the 9 devils picture? What is your relationship with the Heavenly Devil Clan? After seeing the 9 devils picture, the female cultivator cried out in shock, her expression full of disbelief. Lin Feng laughed out loud. "I have nothing to do with the Heavenly Devil Clan. I snatched this 9 devils picture from a heavenly devil. How is this possible?" The female cultivator's expression was full of disbelief. At this time, Lin Feng had already stepped forward and slapped towards the female cultivator. "Little girl, it's time to end this. I just happen to be lacking a servant girl to warm my bed. I see that you are not bad looking and your figure is not bad. From now on, you will be my servant girl to warm my bed." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng's attack had already landed. "I am the daughter of the Devil King. You dare to make me a servant girl to warm your bed. Do you want to die?" The female cultivator shrieked, her hands forming seals to use a powerful divine ability to block Lin Feng's attack. However, Lin Feng's battle strength was too strong. In just 3 rounds, he had dispersed the magic power on the female cultivator's body. The female cultivator's expression was very ugly. First, it was because she had been captured by Lin Feng. Second, it was because she realized that the man in front of her was not afraid of her Devil King father at all. This bastard wouldn't really make her a servant girl to warm his bed, right? She was a great beauty. What if this bastard's beastly instincts kicked in and he forced himself on her? Thinking of this, the female cultivator was so frightened that her face turned pale. Chapter 1535. I was wrong. Big brother, please be magnanimous and spare me this time. The female cultivator immediately begged, looking like she was about to cry. It was obvious that the female cultivator was not stupid. She knew that she could not threaten Lin Feng at this time. Instead, she should beg for mercy. Perhaps Lin Feng would let her go out of sympathy. A woman's tears were always the best weapon. This woman was really good at acting. One moment she was a demoness. One moment she looked pitiful and pitiful. However, these were all illusions. He could not believe it. Lin Feng said, "Come on, put away your hypocritical look. Swear to be my slave now. You can suffer less. If you don't know what's good for you, you'll have to suffer." "Why don't you just kill me?" The female cultivator raised her head, looking like she was at his mercy. Lin Feng said, "Do you really think that I can't subdue you? If that's what you think, then you're wrong." Lin Feng stretched out his hand and summoned the 9 devils picture and the 8 trigrams cauldron back. The 2 treasures shrank to the size of a palm. Lin Feng put away the 9 devils picture. Then he opened the 8 trigrams cauldron and released his deity realm clone. Then the 8 trigrams cauldron was suppressed by Lin Feng. "That's my treasure." Seeing that Lin Feng had suppressed her treasure, the female cultivator gritted her teeth in anger. Lin Feng said, "It's mine now. Even you are mine." Lin Feng carried the female cultivator on his shoulder. The female cultivator thought that Lin Feng was going to carry her to a cave or a small forest, strip her naked, and do something worse to her. Therefore, she kept struggling. As she struggled, she cursed loudly, "Bastard, damn hooligan, put me down." Slap, slap, slap. Lin Feng raised his right hand and slapped the female cultivator 3 times in a row. Whoa! The female cultivator had never suffered such humiliation before, causing her to cry out in grievance. "Don't pretend. I know what kind of person you are. Your tears are full of lies. They're worthless," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng muttered, "What are you trying to do to me?" The female cultivator gritted her teeth and asked, "I'll let you take a bath. Once you're clean, you can warm my bed." Lin Feng threw the female cultivator into the pool in front of him. The clothes were thin to begin with. It was all wet now, after the female cultivator stood up from the pool. The clothes that were as thin as a cicada's wings were completely clinging to the body, giving off a feeling of asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Her exquisite figure was completely exposed in front of Lin Feng's eyes. She was as beautiful as a painting. Perhaps this was the situation before his eyes. The female cultivator covered her vital parts with both hands and said fiercely, "How about we make a deal?" "What deal?" Lin Feng asked. "Let me go, and I'll take you to the hidden place." The female cultivator said, "How do we split the treasures?" Lin Feng asked. 50-50. The female cultivator said, "No, I'll take 80, you take 20. Lin Feng said. The female cultivator immediately screamed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. "I went through a lot of trouble to snatch the key to the hidden place from the hands of extraterrestrial creatures and sky demons. You want 80% of the treasures? You're too greedy. If you don't agree, then forget it. I haven't tasted a beauty in a long time. Are you done bathing? A moment of spring is worth 1,000 gold. Lin Feng said with a smile. "Deal." The female cultivator screamed in fear. Lin Feng's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Evil people needed evil people to deal with evil people. To deal with female cultivators, he naturally had to use evil methods. If he used ordinary methods, the female cultivator would definitely not obediently submit. Actually, if the female cultivator did not submit, Lin Feng could not do anything to her. Take her as a slave? This kind of thing could only scare the female cultivator. After all, the female cultivator's father was a demon lord level expert. The demon lord should be an expert above the heavenly god level. Such an expert, even in the ancient era, would be the overlord of space, a super expert. Let alone in this era, a small dispute with a female cultivator was nothing, but if he really did something outrageous to the female cultivator, if a demon lord above the heavenly god realm was angered, this anger was not something Lin Feng could withstand for the time being. I'll go over there. Come up and change your clothes. Lin Feng said. You're not allowed to peek. The female cultivator walked out of the pool and said with a red face, Would I peek? If I want to look, I'll look openly. Lin Feng curled his lips. The female cultivator was furious. This bastard deserved a beating. To be able to flirt with a woman so openly and righteously. This was the first time she had seen such a shameless man. I'll endure it. I'll endure it for now. The female cultivator glared fiercely at Lin Feng, then walked out of the pool and hid behind a big tree. With a thought, she took out a clean set of clothes from her storage ring and changed into them. After changing her clothes, the female cultivator walked out again. She looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, Where's my 8 trigrams furnace? It's mine now. Lin Feng said. The female cultivator immediately screamed, Give it back to me quickly, or I'll not let you off. Then the female cultivator stretched out her claws and scratched at Lin Feng. Perhaps after losing her magic power, this was the female cultivator's best method. Lin Feng grabbed the female cultivator and said with a smile, This method is useless against me, but since we're cooperating, I'll show some sincerity. I'll return this broken furnace to you. Lin Feng took out the 8 trigrams furnace and returned it to the female cultivator. After the female cultivator put away her 8 trigrams furnace, her expression became better. Lin Feng asked, What's your name? Morong Sun Air, the female cultivator said. So, you used a fake surname before. Lin Feng muttered. What's your name? Morong Sun Air asked. She was actually quite curious about Lin Feng. This was because Lin Feng seemed to be from the Tianwu continent. There was actually such a monstrous young cultivator in the Tianwu continent. Morong Sun Air found it hard to believe. Lin Feng, it's you, the leader of the East Sea Cultivator Army, who disappeared more than 2 years ago? Morong Sun Air was shocked. Lin Feng said with a smile, Am I that famous? Even you know me? Morong Sun Air curled her lips and said, I've been to the East Sea and heard about you. What's the big deal about you? It's widely said that you're dead, but you're still alive. It's true that good people don't live long, but disasters live for 1,000 years. What are you talking about? You're asking for a beating. Lin Feng groaned, raised his right hand and said, Let's go. Pa! Morong Sun Air's bosom was attacked. Lin Feng slapped her, and a loud sound spread in the air. You bastard! Morong Sun Air's face was red. Morong Sun Air's face turned red. She covered her, and stared at Lin Feng furiously. Chapter 1536. Lin Feng said, Next time, you should know how to speak in front of me, right? Morong Sun wanted to pounce on Lin Feng and bite him to death, but she knew that she wasn't a match for Lin Feng. She could only continue to endure. In her heart, however, she was cursing fiercely. Bastard, bastard, shameless lecher, just you wait. Sooner or later, you'll fall into my hands. When that time comes, I'll take care of you. Thinking of this, Morong Sun Er's expression became better. Lin Feng said, What's the origin of that secret trove? How did it make so many extraterrestrial creatures and demons go crazy? Morong Sun said, It's the grave of the Crane Boy. The Crane Boy? Who's that? I've never heard of him. Lin Feng muttered. Morong Sun said, You haven't even heard of the Crane Boy. Aren't you a little too ignorant? You're really ignorant. Does it make you happy to attack me? Lin Feng pursed his lips. Morong Sun giggled. Yes, it's my pleasure to attack you. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Who's this crane boy? Tell me. Murong Sun said, have you heard of Panga's creation? Lin Feng said, isn't that obvious? Who hasn't heard of Panga's creation? Said Murong Sun, Then, do you know where Panga went after he created the world? Rumor has it that Panga's body evolved into a myriad of worlds. Of course, I don't think that's realistic. It's too much of a myth. Lin Feng said. Murong Sun nodded. Yes, it's too much of a myth. Actually, Pangu didn't evolve into a myriad of worlds. Instead, he turned into the primeval Tianzuan. Lin Feng was shocked. Isn't the primeval Tianzuan the founder of Taoism? Lin Feng had naturally heard of the primeval Tianzuan. He was the head of the three pure ones, the founder of Taoism, but his origin was very mysterious. Murong Sun said, the primeval Tianzuan was Pangu. This shocked Lin Feng. The primeval Tianzuan was actually Panga's incarnation. His origin was terrifying. Murong Sun, the primeval Tianzuan, the primeval Tianzuan. He's the founder of Taoism. The primeval Tianzuan, the primeval of the primeval Tianzuan. The general mirror of the past immortals called the heavenly Lord Yuanshi, the ancestor of the heavenly realm. Tianzuan of the Tianzuan of the three Tianzuan of Tianzuan. When the immeasurable tribulation came, he used the mysterious heavenly Tao to teach all living beings. That's why he's called Tianzuan. In the records of the Taoism scriptures, the Taoism created by the heavenly Lord Yuanshi, the jade-clear heavenly Lord Yuanshi, the prime-clear heavenly Lord Lingbao, and the grand-clear heavenly Lord of Tao and Virtue, the grand-clear heavenly Lord of Tao and Virtue. The 10 rules of Taoism said, the primeval Tianzuan of the three pure ones is born from one. Regardless of whether there are thousands of gods, thousands of spirits, thousands of truths, and thousands of saints, there is the saying of one pure ones. Lin Feng asked, what's the relationship between the white crane boy and the primeval Tianzuan or Pangu? Murong Sun said, we'll have to start from the primeval Tianzuan's disciples. The primeval Tianzuan's disciples are all extraordinary. 9 immortal mountains, Peach Blossom Cave, Guang Qingzi. 2 immortal mountains, Magu Cave, Huanglong Qianyuan Mountains, Golden Light Cave, Tai Jinren. 5 Dragon Mountains, Cloud Cave, Munjishri, Guangfa Tianzuan. He later joined Buddhism and became Munjishri Bodhisattva. Putuo Mountains, Chaoyin Cave, Si Hang. He later joined Buddhism and became Guanyin Bodhisattva. Taoist Tianzuan of the Jade Cave of the Golden Court Mountain. Qijing Jingzi of the Cloud Cave of the Taihua Mountain. Zhu Lusun of the Cloud Cave of the Clamped Dragon Mountain. Later joined Buddhism, became Zhu Lusun Buddha. Lingbao of the Primeval Yang Cave of the Kongtong Mountain. Samantabhadra of the White Crane Cave of the 9 Palace Mountain. Later joined Buddhism, became Samantabhadra, Jade Cauldron of the Golden Cloud Cave of the Jade Spring Mountain. Qing Su Dao, Lord of the Purple Sun Cave of the Green Summit Mountain. The other disciples, Yun Zhongzi of the Jade Pillar Cave of the Zhongnan Mountain. Xian Wang of the South Pole, Jade Void Palace. White Crane Boy, Primeval Tianzuan's attendant. Zhang Ziashin Gongbao, look at the Primeval Tianzuan's disciples. Which one of them isn't famous? The White Crane Boy is the Primeval Tianzuan's attendant. He's been with the Primeval Tianzuan for the longest time, so he's the closest to the Primeval Tianzuan. Murong Sun said. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. So the White Crane Boy was the Primeval Tianzuan's disciple. His background was a little frightening. However, Lin Feng had heard of the Primeval Tianzuan's disciples, Jiang Zia, Guanyin Bodhisattva, and Munjishri Bodhisattva, Jiang Zia, Jiang Taigong, and the Phoenix Pavilion. They were Jiang Yudi's ancestors. As for Guanyin Bodhisattva and Manjushri Bodhisattva, many temples had statues of them. Lin Feng said, "There must be a lot of treasures in the White Crane Boy's tomb, right?" Murong Sun said, "Needless to say, there must be a mountain of treasures in the White Crane Boy's tomb. However, the biggest secret isn't the White Crane Boy's tomb, but the primeval Tianzuan's legacy." The primeval Tianzuan's legacy? Lin Feng was shocked. Murong Sun nodded and said, "The heavenly lord of the origin is the most powerful existence since the creation of the world. When he turned into the Pangu giant body and created the world, he left behind a secret treasure called the secret realm of ether. Have you heard of it?" Lin Feng nodded. He had heard of it before. It was a secret territory controlled by Huangfu Qingtian. Huangfu Qingtian's rise was related to the secret territory of ether. After that, the primeval Tianzuan left behind a second secret territory called the primeval secret territory. Murong Sun said, "What's in the primeval secret territory?" Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Apart from the part of Pangu's orthodoxy in the secret realm of ether, there is another great secret. You can enter the original secret realm from the secret realm of ether. That is the most incredible inheritance. It is said that the inheritor of the secret realm of ether, Huangfu Qingtian, has found a way to enter the original secret realm. Therefore, many people are very anxious now. They want to find other ways to enter the original secret realm and seize the inheritance of the original lord. Murong Sun said, "The secret territory of ether that Pangu left behind was taken by Huangfu Qingtian. So, Huangfu Qingtian is Pangu's inheritor, and Pangu and the primeval Tianzuan are the same person. So, the primeval Tianzuan left the primeval secret territory to Huangfu Qingtian?" Lin Feng said, with a gloomy face. There was less than a year left before the battle of life and death between him and Huangfu Qingtian. Lin Feng didn't want to see Huangfu Qingtian become so strong. Murong Sun nodded and said, "That's right. The secret territory of ether left by Pangu should only be a primary secret territory. As the successor, Huangfu Qingtian passed the test and was able to enter the ultimate secret territory, the secret territory of ether. Many people were unwilling to accept the fact that the secret territory of ether was taken by Huangfu Qingtian. However, Huangfu Qingtian was very cunning. He sealed the secret territory of ether, and no one could find him. Some peerless cultivators sensed that the secret territory of ether was shaking. It was very likely that Huangfu Qingtian was about to enter the secret territory of ether. Chapter 1537. No matter what, Lin Feng had to find a way to enter the origin secret land. Even if he couldn't obtain the inheritance of the primeval heavenly lord, he couldn't let Huangfu Qingtian obtain it. If Huangfu Qingtian obtained it, it would be a disaster. Even if he obtained the complete inheritance of the primeval heavenly lord, he wouldn't be a match for Huangfu Qingtian. A 10-year battle to the death. It boded ill rather than well. "Where is the Crane Boy's tomb?" asked Lin Feng. "I haven't had time to study it yet. I'll find out after I study it," said Murong Sun. She waved her right hand, and a scroll appeared in her hand. Murong Sun opened the scroll. There was a picture drawn on the scroll. It was a painting of mountains and rivers. Mountains, waterfalls, streams, birds, flowers, etc. Suddenly, a white crane flew out from the depths of the painting. This scroll is really mysterious. Could it be that the secret of the Crane Boy's tomb is hidden in this scroll? Said Lin Feng while looking at the scroll. He was surprised. Murong Sun nodded and said, "It's called the White Crane Sky Gazing Diagram. It hides the secret of the White Crane Boy's grave. Of course, it's also possible that it's not a grave, but a mysterious world. After all, the White Crane boy was so strong. It's normal for him to leave a mysterious world behind. If it's a secret territory, it's even more valuable, said Lin Feng, frowning. Do you see anything special about it? Murong Sun Er looked at it for a long time, but didn't find anything special. She then looked at Lin Feng. Said Lin Feng, I used my divine sense to examine it, but I didn't find anything special about it. Since it's called the crane sky gazing diagram, I think the key is the word sky gazing diagram. Asked Murong Sun Er, what do you mean? Sky gazing. I think it's about comprehending the Tao. Said Lin Feng. Said Murong Sun Er. If that's the case, we need to find a quiet place and carefully comprehend it. Lin Feng nodded and flew away with Murong Sun Er. The two of them planned to find a suitable place to hide and comprehend the Tao law on the scroll. Boom! But right at this moment, a terrifying aura spread out. The void cracked open. 5 heavenly demons stepped out of the cracked void. 5 God, realm heavenly demons. Lin Feng didn't have any impression of these 5 celestial devils. He guessed that they were celestial devils that had entered the martial heaven continent after he had left. After that, over 30 Xeno race beings tore through space and stepped out as well. Most of these extraterrestrial beings were cultivators of the extraterrestrial race. However, there were also many cultivators from other races, such as the Star Demon race, the Star Beast race, and so on. Some of them looked like humans, while others looked half-human and half-beast, like beast men. There were more than 30 extraterrestrial creatures, and 7 of them were deity realm experts. The rest were all demigods. We've been surrounded. Murong Sun Er's expression changed when she saw the extraterrestrial beings and heavenly demons. Even though Lin Feng had shown his extraordinary fighting strength, he was still very strong. She was also a deity realm expert. However, there were only 2 of them. Their opponents had the advantage in numbers. There were a total of 12 deity realm experts. If they really fought, the disparity in strength would be too great. How many extraterrestrial beings and heavenly demons have descended during this period? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. It seemed that there were many extraterrestrial beings and heavenly demons that had descended on the martial heaven continent. Ha ha! Everyone has arrived. We're a step too late. At this moment, loud laughter rang out. A dazzling golden light flew over from afar. Over 20 experts walked out of the golden light. These experts were led by 3 deity realm experts. Who are these people? Lin Feng whispered. Murong Sun Er replied. They're the descendants of the golden emperor of the Jojo continent. It's said that their ancestor was a holy spirit that had been buried underground for countless years. Even a rock could transform into a living being. Therefore, Lin Feng wasn't surprised that the Golden Emperor could transform into a living being. Originally, Lin Feng and Murong Sun Er were at a disadvantage. Now that the Golden Clan's experts had arrived, the situation seemed to be even worse for Lin Feng and Murong Sun Er. Murong Sun Er was also very clear about this point. Her face was even uglier than before. Murong Sun Er glanced at Lin Feng, who was standing beside her, and saw Lin Feng's calm expression. Murong Sun Er was speechless. Right now, the extraterrestrial beings, heavenly demons, and Jojo continent's cultivators had a total of 15 deity realm experts. There were more than 50 demigod realm experts. They were so powerful, and there were only 2 people on their side. This bastard still acted like he didn't care. He would probably cry later. Do you think you can run away? Ridiculous! A heavenly demon coldly looked at Lin Feng and Murong Sun Er. Murong Sun Er, hand over the white crane sky gazing diagram, and will spare your life for your father's sake. As for this kid, he'll definitely die today. A deity realm extraterrestrial being said coldly, "Ha, this kid's blood chi is strong and his body is strong. He should be a good puppet." A deity realm expert from the Golden Clan sneered. "Let's break out. You have the 9 demon painting, and I have the 8 trigrams furnace. Maybe we can break out." Morong Sun Air whispered, "Humph." A heavenly demon coldly snorted and said, "Morong Sun Air, don't whisper. Do you think we don't know what you're talking about? You want to break out, right? We've already sealed this place with a great formation. You can't escape even if you have wings." As soon as the heavenly demon finished speaking, his hands continuously formed seals. Suddenly, the great formation around them intertwined. It completely sealed the area. "So you've already prepared." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. "Kid, you want to get your hands on the Yuanshe Tianzuan's secret territory? What the hell? Are you regretting your decision now?" A deity realm extraterrestrial being sneered at Lin Feng. In his opinion, Lin Feng was no different from a dead man. Lin Feng sneered and said, "A bunch of trash like you dares to shout in front of me? I don't know where you get your courage from." After hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone was stunned. Arrogant, too arrogant. They had never seen anyone as arrogant as Lin Feng. He was surrounded and trapped by a great formation. He was going to die, but he was still so arrogant. What was going on in this guy's head? Even Morong Sun Air couldn't help but roll her eyes. Morong Sun Air had seen all kinds of people. She had seen all kinds of geniuses and arrogant heirs of great forces. It was the first time she had seen someone as arrogant as Lin Feng. The strong cultivators of the 3 influential groups were infuriated by Lin Feng's arrogance. They all looked glum as they looked at Lin Feng, with murder in their eyes. Chapter 1538. Many people thought that Lin Feng was too arrogant and that he was courting death. But Lin Feng didn't think so. The terrain here was steep. Looking to the left, there was a mountain range that looked like a tiger coming out of the mountain. Looking to the right, there was a mountain range that looked like an azure dragon spitting out a pearl. Looking to the front, there was a black tortoise on the ground. Looking to the back, it looked like a vermilion bird soaring into the sky. White tiger, azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. They were the 4 sacred beasts. The terrain here was very special, a bit like a natural 4 symbols formation. Controlling the power of the earth veins was the specialty of the Celestial Master sect. If it weren't for these 4 mountains, Lin Feng would have taken Morong Sun Er's advice and quickly broken out with her. After all, there were too many people and too many strong cultivators. "Attack! Kill this brat!" shouted the strong cultivators of the 3 influential groups coldly and started attacking Lin Feng. The destructive attacks blasted out. All kinds of divine abilities gathered together and formed a torrent of attacks that drowned Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked indifferent and stepped on the ground. A loud rumbling sound came out. The earth shook and the mountains shook. What's going on? Many people's expressions suddenly changed. Roar, 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 roar. The 4 mountain ranges in the front, back, left, and right all shook violently. The 4 mountains then turned into 4 fierce beasts. White tiger was in charge of killing. Black tortoise was in charge of defense. Vermilion bird was in charge of control. Azure dragon was in charge of support. The 4 fierce beasts rushed over. Black tortoise protected Lin Feng, and Morong Sun from the attacks of a group of cultivators. The white tiger pounced into the crowd and waved its huge claws, slapping out with a claw. The void was torn apart. One could see how powerful White Tiger's attack was. Vermilion bird flew out and burned the sky with its vermilion bird divine fire. The burning vermilion bird divine fire enveloped the cultivators of the three major forces, as if it was going to burn them to ashes. Azure Dragon stretched out its huge dragon claw. The Azure Dragon claw easily tore the void. Its power was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. Bang, bang, bang. Under the attacks of the three sacred beasts, the experts of the three forces suffered heavy losses. 6 or 7 cultivators were killed in an instant. As for the rest of the people, they were either dodging or blocking the attacks of the three saint beasts. You're really something. What kind of trick is this? He actually turned 4 mountains into 4 sacred beasts. Morong Sun said in surprise. He originally thought that Lin Feng was a little too arrogant. Now he suddenly realized Lin Feng was really full of secrets. This kind of method was truly miraculous. Now, Morong Sun was even thinking if she could find a way to get Lin Feng to reveal his means. If he could learn it, wouldn't he be able to turn the surrounding mountains into ferocious beasts like Lin Feng? Thinking of this, Morong Sun-er's eyes suddenly rolled. He didn't know what he was up to this time. Go all out and destroy these 4 beasts. The experts of the three forces roared furiously. Now, the black tortoise sacred beast also joined in to help the other 3 sacred beasts resist the attacks of the three forces. At the same time, Lin Feng took out the 3 poisonous puppets. The 3 poisonous puppets released a powerful poison. The poisonous fog rolled. The poisonous fog shrouded all the cultivators of the three forces. Everyone, be careful. There's poison. Many cultivators shouted in horror after inhaling the poison. Many of them immediately felt dizzy, nauseous, and unable to exert any strength. This was a normal reaction of the body after being poisoned. Once a cultivator was poisoned, his combat strength would plummet, just like the experts of the three forces. The demigod realm cultivators couldn't resist the poison released by the 3 poisonous puppets. As for the divine realm cultivators, although they could resist the poison, it would also cause them to be distracted. Originally, they could use 100% of their combat strength, but now they could only use 60% to 70% of their combat strength. As for the white tiger, vermilion bird, azure dragon, and black tortoise sacred beasts, because they were transformed from mountains, they were not affected by the poison at all. While the cultivators of the three forces' combat strength was sharply reduced, the 4 sacred beasts charged into the crowd and attacked with all their might. Puff, puff. Cultivators were killed one after another. Good job. Morong Sun jumped up and down in excitement. She looked like she wanted to rush up and join the battle. Crazy woman, Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Morong Sun looked at Lin Feng and said, "You really have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. You even have a poisonous puppet. How did you refine it? Teach me. There's a price to pay if you want to learn." Lin Feng said with a half smile, "Name your price. What do you want? Treasures? Cultivation spirit stones? Elixirs? Divine pills? I'll give you whatever you want." Morong Sun said. Morong Sun-er's interest in the poisonous puppets was far greater than her interest in the inheritance of the heavenly master. After all, Morong Sun was the daughter of the demon king. Demonic Tao cultivators were mostly treacherous people. Lin Feng had already experienced Morong Sun-er's cunning character. Therefore, Morong Sun liked to use insidious means to deal with others. The poisonous puppets obviously met all of Morong Sun-er's requirements. Lin Feng said, "Give me your first time, and I'll tell you, why don't you just die?" Morong Sun glared at Lin Feng fiercely, then kicked Lin Feng. Lin Feng quickly jumped back and dodged Morong Sun-er's kick. "Quick, break out of the encirclement." At this time, the three forces suffered heavy losses. All the demigod cultivators died. 2 divine state cultivators died. And the 13 Shengxia cultivators suffered some injuries. Therefore, they didn't plan to stay and fight. Instead, they planned to break out of the encirclement with all their might. Boom, boom. The combined power of these 13 godly realm experts was no small matter. They unleashed a powerful battle prowess and blocked the attacks of the 3 poisonous puppets and the 4 sacred beasts. They were about to break out of the encirclement. At this time, Lin Feng summoned his divine state clone. After the divine state clone joined the battle, the 13 divine state cultivators suddenly felt great pressure. Puff, puff. The doppelganger of the god state seized the opportunity and stabbed out twice in a row, killing a Gold Clan expert and an extraterrestrial creature, respectively. Now, there were only 11 divine state cultivators left. Their situation was even worse. At this time, a heavenly demon took out a jade talisman and crushed it. Swoosh! After the jade talisman was crushed, a world appeared. It was a huge palace. In the palace, there was the magic lotus floating in the air. Below the magic lotus sat a young demonic cultivator. Young master, help! After seeing the demonic young master, the heavenly demon who crushed the jade talisman cried for help. The young master seemed to have heard the heavenly demon's cry for help. He opened his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. I knew you wouldn't die in the space-time reversal. You really came back. Chapter 1539. This young man was none other than Lin Yun. He was the son of the heavenly demon emperor, Gongzi Yu. Lin Feng and Gongzi Yu were old rivals. However, back then, Lin Feng had only been an ant in front of Gongzi Yu. But now, Lin Feng had grown up. Gongzi Yu, long time no see. Lin Feng looked at Gongzi Yu and nodded. The group of deity realm experts was stunned. They didn't expect Lin Feng and Gongzi Yu to know each other. From Gongzi Yu's tone, it was obvious that he valued this young cultivator. No wonder everyone had lost so miserably. This defeat was not unjust. Where's that guy? Did you kill him? Gongzi Yu asked. He was naturally referring to Mose Tianzuan. Gongzi Yu didn't care about Mose Tianzuan's life or death. What he cared about was whether Mose Tianzuan's the magic lotus had fallen into Lin Feng's hands. If Lin Feng killed Mose Tianzuan, the magic lotus would naturally fall into Lin Feng's hands. Lin Feng said, I have to say that you heavenly demons, especially innate heavenly demons like Mose Tianzuan, have strange and unfathomable methods. He was only left with a remnant soul, but you actually let him come back to life. Gongzi Yu said, if that's the case, it won't be easy to kill him again. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and he said, What? Don't tell me you want his life too? Gongzi Yu smiled strangely and said, How can that be? After all, we are of the same race. Ha 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 ha. Lin Feng suddenly laughed and said, Although the two of you are of the same race, Mose Tianzuan is an innate sky fiend while you are a postnatal sky fiend. Aren't the two of you opposing each other? Gongzi Yu said, Whether we are enemies or not is an internal matter of the Celestial Devil clan. Today, I will be taking these people away. Can you make an exception? That depends on whether you have the ability or not. Lin Feng took a step forward. Instantly, a river of death engulfed heaven and earth. Lin Feng had used the great death art, condensing a river of death and attacking the group of experts. As expected, you are really a scourge. However, you're not a match for Wangfu Qingtian right now. I've heard that there's less than a year left before the 10-year battle. Wangfu Qingtian has already absorbed a drop of Panga's blood and broken through to the godly layer. If you can't break through, you'll die in a year. Gongzi Yu smiled and pointed at the magic lotus floating in the air. The magic lotus shot out a ray of demonic light and destroyed Lin Feng's river of death. Then, the demonic light wrapped around the remaining 11 experts and tore through the void, disappearing without a trace. What a terrifying the magic lotus! Lin Feng frowned. The demon lotus of the Devamara clan was terrifying. The more Lin Feng talked to it, the stronger he became. The more he interacted with it, the more he could sense how terrifying the magic lotus was. After Gongzi, you saved the 11 experts. Lin Feng took back his doppelganger and poisoned doppelganger. Morong Sun Air's eyes lit up as she said, "So you have a life and death battle with Huangfu Qing Tian. But now you're in trouble. Huangfu Qing Tian has devoured Panga's ancestral blood and has mastered some of Panga's ancient magical powers. Once a monster like Huangfu Qing Tian breaks through to the god realm, his magical power will be monstrous. Huangfu Qing Tian's talent isn't any worse than yours. You may be able to kill some ordinary gods when you're at a lower level, but you definitely won't be able to kill a monster like Huangfu Qing Tian. Instead, you'll probably be killed by Huangfu Qing Tian. Only then can you break through to the godly layer." Lin Feng nodded and said, "I know that. Therefore, I can't let Huangfu Qing Tian get the Premier's secret land. If he does, I'll definitely die in this battle." The two didn't stay any longer. They came to an ancient city and booked a room. Morong Sun took out the white crane sky gazing painting. Lin Feng and Morong Sun sat cross-legged and carefully comprehended the Tao Chi of the white crane sky gazing painting. The world of painting and calligraphy. A white crane. It spread its wings and flew high. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Morong Sun opened her eyes and sighed. She didn't understand anything in the past 3 days and 3 nights. The secret of the white crane sky gazing painting was still a mystery. Morong Sun found that Lin Feng was still in a state of epiphany. Morong Sun observed Lin Feng. "This guy looks pretty good, but who would have thought that he's actually a bastard?" Morong Sun curled her lips. At this moment, Lin Feng entered a mysterious state. He felt that his divine sense had entered the world of the painting. He could feel the aura of the surrounding flowers, trees, forests, and even hear some insects and birds chirping. Suddenly, a loud sound came from afar. A white crane flew over. To be precise, it was a crane surrounded by immortal light. It spread its wings and flew. The white crane flew out from the depths. Then it turned around and flew into the depths of the forest. Soon, it disappeared without a trace. However, after 3 days, the white crane flew out again. Then it flew around and disappeared into the depths again. After 3 days, the white crane appeared again. So that's it. I know. This white crane is a mount. It can lead us to the things left behind by the white crane boy. Lin Feng's face showed joy. The white crane flew over again and let out a loud cry. Lin Feng opened his eyes and grabbed Morong Sun hand. "Hey, stinky pervert, you're taking advantage of me again. Believe it or not, I'll beat you up." Morong Sun screamed. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and said, "What are you screaming for? Who's taking advantage of you? I found a way to enter the grave of the white crane boy." "Oh, really?" Morong Sun was surprised. The white crane flew over again. Lin Feng grabbed Morong Sun and rushed directly toward the scroll, suspended in midair. Whoosh whoosh, when Lin Feng and Morong Sun got close to the scroll, their bodies quickly shrank. The next moment, the two disappeared from the room, and there were 2 more little people in the scroll. Those 2 little people were Lin Feng and Morong Sun. "We entered the scroll," Morong Sun said in surprise. Lin Feng nodded and said, I guess that this scroll is actually an entrance to a space. It should be a heaven-defying magic that refined the entrance into the scroll. At this time, the white crane had already flown above their heads. Lin Feng said, "Let's go, ride the white crane. This white crane will take us to the destination." Lin Feng grabbed Morong Sun Er's hand and flew to the sky, above the lily, and then on the white crane. The white crane's body was not big, just enough to carry two people. Morong Sun sat in front. Lin Feng sat behind Morong Sun The white crane let out a loud cry, then spread its wings and flew into the depths of the scroll. Chapter 1540. The ancient forest was so dense that one could even hear the roars of berserk beasts. Is this place where we are in the painting? Why do I feel like this is the real world? Morong Sun couldn't help but ask. In the distance, a huge creature stood up. It was actually a huge centipede with densely packed legs. The huge centipede stood up straight and was over 10,000 meters tall. Lin Feng and Morong Sun were shocked. Isn't this body too huge? It was the first time they saw such a huge centipede. Is this a prehistoric centipede? Morong Sun couldn't help but mutter. The prehistoric civilization predated the ancient times and even the immortal era. There was no way to know how long ago it was. However, some information about the prehistoric civilization could be found in some scriptures. It was said that there were many abnormally huge berserk beasts in the prehistoric civilization. For example, the current frog was only half the size of a palm. The frog that appeared in the prehistoric civilization, a frog was 3,000 to 4,000 meters tall. How huge was that? The white crane carried Lin Feng and Morong Sun all the way to the depths. Along the way, they saw many powerful berserk beasts. However, the white crane was very fast and left those powerful berserk beasts behind in the blink of an eye. Therefore, those berserk beasts had no chance to attack Lin Feng and Morong Sun Look, what is that? Why is it so dark? Suddenly, Morong Sun pointed to the front. In front of them, black fog was rolling, and the rolling black fog was quickly moving in the direction of Lin Feng and Morong Sun There seemed to be something in the black fog. Both sides were quickly approaching. Finally, Lin Feng and Morong Sun saw what was in the black fog. In the black fog, there was a dense group of black bats. Those bats weren't big, about the size of a palm. However, those bats were extremely strange. They had the body of a bat and the head of a wolf. These bats were called wolf-headed black bats. It was also a race that had long disappeared from the outside world. It had actually appeared in the world within the painting. Wolf-headed black bats had extremely powerful attacks. Their heads were not to be underestimated. It was said that the teeth of wolf-headed black bats could even crush divine weapons. This showed how terrifying wolf-headed black bats were. If a cultivator was surrounded by wolf-headed black bats, they would be devoured in an instant. Wolf-headed black bats, this is bad. Morong Sun that wolf-headed Morong Sun Lin Feng immediately took out the purple earth core. The earth core, the earth core was burning was the earth core countless wolf-headed earth core bats, and Morong Sun were burned to death. Countless wolf-headed black batses, and fell wolf-headed earth core. The black wolf-headed bats that were still alive didn't dare attack Lin Feng and Morong Sun anymore. They quickly flew away. When Lin Feng was some distance away from the wolf-headed black bats, he summoned his celestial fire back. You just took out a heavenly flame. Morong Sun was very knowledgeable and recognized Lin Feng's heavenly flame. Lin Feng nodded. That's right, it's heavenly flame. Morong Sun was slightly surprised. She thought that Lin Feng would try to hide it. She did not expect that. Lin Feng admitted it without hesitation. Morong Sun snorted. How many secrets do you have that I don't know? I advise you not to pay too much attention to me. I'm worried that you'll latch onto me again. I'm not interested in you. Lin Feng said. Who would latch on to you? Shameless bastard. Murong Sun Air snorted. Time passed quickly as Murong Sun Air bickered with Murong Sun Air. About a day and a half later, the immortal crane let out a loud cry. Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air looked towards the depths of the painting and were shocked. In the depths of the painting, immortal fog was lingering, and above the immortal fog, there were many palaces. It was just like the legendary Immortal Palace, Jade Palaces, and Jade Palaces. It was very beautiful. We're here. We're finally here. Murong Sun Air shouted excitedly. The immortal crane stopped above the immortal fog. Then, the immortal fog turned towards Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air and called out to them. It seemed to be saying, "You can come down now." Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air came down from the immortal crane and stepped on the immortal fog. They discovered that there was a white jade staircase in the immortal fog. The white jade staircase extended all the way to a huge immortal door. Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air followed the white jade staircase and walked towards the depths. In the end, they stopped outside the immortal door. Immortal Court Secret Territory. There was a plaque above the immortal door. On the plaque, there were 4 ancient words written in flamboyant calligraphy. Is this the secret territory left behind by the White Crane Boy? Murong Sun Air looked towards the depths. Lin Feng said, "It looks more like the place where the White Crane Boy cultivates. Let's go in and take a look." Murong Sun Air nodded. She couldn't wait to go in. Boom. But at that moment, there was a violent fluctuation coming from the depths. Then 10 figures flew out. They were 10 golden men. Each of them had a powerful blood chi and were very strong. Why are there still people here? Murong Sun Air's face changed when she saw the 10 golden men flying out of the Immortal Court Secret Territory. If there were still people living in the Immortal Court Secret Territory, it would be a big problem. They had worked so hard to come here. Wouldn't it be difficult to get any treasures? Lin Feng shook his head. They're not people. They're puppets. But they're very high-level puppets. Could it be that the White Crane Boy left them here to protect the Immortal Court Secret Territory? Murong Sun Air said. Lin Feng nodded. That's very likely. Be careful. The puppets are coming out. If we want to go in, we have to defeat them first. Murong Sun Air took out the 8 trigrams furnace, while Lin Feng took out the 9 demons painting. Then he summoned his godly realm clone and the 3 toxic puppets. These golden-armored puppets were not simple. Their auras were extremely terrifying. So Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless when facing the 10 puppets. Boom! A great battle broke out. It was a very difficult battle. After hundreds of rounds, Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air were exhausted. However, the 10 puppets were unharmed. Something's not right. Our attacks can't hurt these puppets, but our bodies are constantly in a state of exhaustion. We're getting weaker and weaker. If this continues, I'm afraid we won't be able to last long. Lin Feng said gloomily. He realized the seriousness of the situation. The 10 puppets were very strange. They seemed to be able to repair themselves. No matter what kind of damage they received, they could recover quickly. Chapter 1541. Murong Sun Air asked in a deep voice, "What should we do now?" "We can only choose to retreat temporarily and then think of another way," Lin Feng said. Whoosh! After forcing the puppets to retreat, Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air chose to retreat quickly. These puppets did not come out to chase after Lin Feng and Murong Sun Air. Their mission seemed to be to simply prevent others from entering the Immortal Court's secret territory. After Lin Feng and Murong Sun retreated, Lin Feng's divine realm avatar and the 3 poisonous puppets also withdrew together. 10 puppets stood at the gate of the immortal court's secret territory, looking indifferent. These puppets are really difficult to deal with. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to find a way to deal with them. Morong Sun felt a headache coming on. The 10 puppets did not show any flaws. Lin Feng said, there are actually 3 possibilities for their rapid recovery after being injured. One is because of the formation, the second is because of the materials, and the third is that when the 10 puppets were forged, both the self-healing formation and precious materials were added. But no matter what the reason is, it is not easy to destroy these puppets. Although it is not easy, it is not impossible to destroy them. Morong Sun, her eyes suddenly lit up. She looked at Lin Feng and said, "Can we destroy them? Have you thought of a way?" Lin Feng said, "We have to destroy the puppets in an unstoppable manner, leaving them no time to repair themselves." Morong Sun said, "The 10 puppets work together to attack and defend well. It is completely impossible to destroy them in an unstoppable manner." Then Morong Sun seemed to have thought of something. Her eyes lit up slightly and said, "I forgot that you are also a powerful spirit array master. If we set up a formation, we can lure the 10 puppets into the formation, and then use the formation to separate them. In this way, the 10 puppets will fight on their own, and we will attack them one by one. In this way, we will be able to completely destroy the 10 puppets one by one." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes, that's what I plan to do. We can use the formation to deal with these puppets." Lin Feng did not waste any time. He took out all kinds of formation materials and began to set up the formation. It took about 3 hours for Lin Feng to set up the formation successfully. After the formation was set up, Lin Feng and Morong Sun once again attacked the puppets. The battle broke out again. The 10 puppets were led into the formation set up by Lin Feng and Morong Sun in advance. Under the effect of the formation, the 10 puppets were separated. Lin Feng summoned his avatar and the 3 highly toxic puppets. Then he activated the 9 demon painting. Morong Sun activated the 8 trigrams furnace. The avatar and the 3 highly toxic puppets assisted her. It was equivalent to 6 God Realm experts besieging 1 highly toxic puppet at the same time. These highly toxic puppets could not withstand such a violent attack. Bang! Under the joint attack of Lin Feng, Morong Sun, the avatar, and the 3 highly toxic puppets, the body of the highly toxic puppet directly burst into pieces. "It's done." Morong Sun, eyes suddenly lit up. Although the abilities displayed by the golden-armored puppet were heaven-defying, it was only a puppet after all, not a real cultivator. So it was not that difficult to deal with it. Lin Feng and Morong Sun used the same method to deal with the other 9 puppets. Bang, 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 next. The puppets suffered the same fate as the first puppet. Under the joint attack of Lin Feng, Morong Sun, the avatar, and the 3 highly toxic puppets, they were all destroyed. Phew! After destroying the 10 puppets, Lin Feng and Morong Sun could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Lin Feng collected the materials of the golden puppet that were scattered everywhere. Morong Sun asked curiously, "Why are you collecting these junk?" Lin Feng said, "Some of the materials may not be damaged. I will separate them and use them to refine my 3 highly toxic puppets." Morong Sun's eyes suddenly lit up when he mentioned the highly toxic puppets. She was very interested in them. Lin Feng kept the avatar and the 3 highly toxic puppets in his body. Then he walked with Morong Sun to the immortal court secret realm. The place was filled with immortal chi. It was as if they had come to the legendary place where the immortals lived. In the past, this place might have been very prosperous. Perhaps they would have been able to see fairies passing by. But now it was empty. Look, there's a huge dojo over there. It has the chi of the Tao. Lin Feng pointed at a huge square. He and Murong Sun quickly flew over. There was indeed the chi of the Tao there. Even after so many years, they could still feel it. Could it be the place where the White Crane Boy taught and solved problems? Lin Feng muttered. Then he said, "Did the White Crane Boy establish his own sect?" Murong Sun said, "I'm not sure, but I don't think someone as powerful as the White Crane Boy could have been a servant of Yuanshi Tianzuan forever. So it's very likely that he established a dojo and recruited a lot of disciples." Lin Feng nodded and said, "But the strange thing is, if this is the dojo of the White Crane Boy back in the days, how did the inheritance disappear? Many places here are perfectly preserved. There are no traces of a great battle. It's really strange. I wonder what happened in the past." Murong Sun said, "Actually, there are many things that happened before the immemorial era. There are no historical records." "That's right." Lin Feng sighed and nodded. The past was gone. How many things were buried in the long river of history, unable to be explored? They were destined to become dust-covered secrets that no one knew about. They were destined to become eternal secrets. Lin Feng and Murong Sun didn't stay in the dojo for long. They flew towards the nearest palace. When they arrived, they saw a huge plaque above the hall with the words Achievement Hall written on it. Lin Feng and Murong Sun entered the Achievement Hall. The first thing they saw was two statues. One of them was tall and had a transcendent aura. The other statue was skinny and mysterious. Who are they? Lin Feng and Murong Sun were puzzled. Since this was the Achievement Hall, it should have a statue of the White Crane Boy. Even if they didn't worship the White Crane Boy, it was understandable that they worshipped the Yuanshi Tianzuan. But the key point was the two statues in front of them weren't the Yuanshi Tianzuan. Who were they? Why were they worshipped here by the White Crane Boy? Chapter 1542. Lin Feng said, "Look, traces of divine power are flowing into the two statues. This is the power of faith. They can even absorb the power of faith." What was the origin of these two idols? It's really strange. I don't think I've seen them before. Murong Sun was very confused. She looked left and right in the Achievement Hall, but she couldn't find anything. There should be couplets here. Why is there nothing here? Lin Feng pointed at the two pillars in the hall. Murong Sun said, "Look, there were some vague imprints, but they seem to have disappeared. There must have been couplets here before. Come, kneel 3 times and cow down 9 times to these two unknown gods and pray sincerely. Let's see if something unexpected will happen." Lin Feng said. He felt that these two statues had a great origin. This was the White Crane Boy's training ground. It was fine if the palace didn't worship him, but it didn't even worship his master, Yuanshi Tianzuan. Yet it worshipped two unknown existences. It was really strange. Lin Feng and Murong Sun knelt on the prayer mats in front of the two statues, then kowtowed 9 times to the two statues. Suddenly, something strange happened. The couplets that had disappeared on the two pillars reappeared. Lin Feng and Murong Sun stood up and saw the new couplets. Their faces were filled with joy. The couplet on the left read, "First Hongjun, then Tian." The couplet on the right read, "Lu Yadao Emperor is still in front. First Hongjun, then Tian. Lu Yadao Emperor is still in front." What does this mean? Murong Sun was very confused. Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't understand what it meant either. Pangu created the world. It shouldn't have anything to do with Hongjun or Lu Yadao Emperor, right? Suddenly, the ancient characters on the couplet seemed to come alive, emitting a golden light. Then, the golden light poured into Lin Feng and Murong Sun Er's bodies. A large amount of information appeared in Lin Feng and Murong Sun Er's minds. Before the primordial chaos, the world still belonged to the primordial chaos. Grand Mist Era. This was the first era, which was the era before the Chaos Era. During the primordial era, 4 ancient beings were born. The 4 living beings were primordial chaos, Tao Lord Luya, Hongjun, and Hun Kuan. In the entire Grand Mist Era, there were only 4 such beings. Their lifespans were practically limitless. Later on, the Grand Mist Era ended, and they entered the Primal Chaos Era. Finally, the Primal Chaos Era was no longer so boring. This was because the Primal Chaos Era had begun to give birth to new life forms, such as Nuwa, Pangu, Grand Supreme, Guangyuan, Gonggong, and many others. This was the so-called Xiantian life form. The 4 great powers of the primordial era had enlightened some Xiantian life forms. These enlightened Xiantian life forms were the first batch of Xiantian life forms to awaken, and were also the most powerful Xiantian life forms. Pangu was one of them. Pangu was enlightened by Hongjun, so Hongjun was Pangu's teacher. Countless years ago, there was a saying that had been passed down, but now no one had heard of it. This sentence was, Hongjuan's Tao is passed down to the 3 friends. This sentence was referring to Hongjuan's 3 disciples. Taoist Hongjun was the master of Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginning, and Grand Master of Heaven. Taoist Hongjun was the ancestor of all immortals, and he was also known as Patriarch Hongyuan. Hongyuan referred to the original state of the universe before heaven and earth were created, and the void was separated. There was a saying that Hongjun came first, then Tian. Taoist Hongjuan's great Tao was passed down to Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, Primordial Beginning, and Grand Master of Heaven. The 3 of them founded Chan School, Tao School, and Jie School respectively. During the primal chaos, the Tao was born. The Tao transformed into Hongjun, and he was the one who created the world. Apart from the great Tao, the 3 primordial Qi were born. Laozi separated and reunited in the primal chaos Qi, and the 3 lights as the beginning. The Tao transformed into an incarnation, and the cicada transformed into the world. The primal chaos Qi, 3 pure ones, was Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginning, Grand Master of Heaven. Therefore, there was a saying that Hongjuan's Tao is passed down to the 3 friends. The 3 Qi was one, and was born for the Tao. Actually, among the 4 existences of the Primal Chaos Era, Hongjun was only ranked 3rd. The second was Taoist Luya. Taoist Luya was the essence of fire. He flew out of the 3 realms and was not in the 5 elements. He was not in the 3 sects or the land of bliss. He was not under the control of the human king, and was not in the netherworld. Xiao Xiao was free to roam, free to be an itinerant saint immortal. However, there was a saying, Patriarch Hongjun is the number 1 immortal. His disciple, Pangu, opened the sky. First, there was Hongjun, then there was Tian. Tao Lord Luya is still in front. He is only 18 years old this year. 1 chaos is 1 year. Therefore, it seemed that Luya just did not like to be controlled. Tao Lord Luya was an itinerant immortal on the North Ocean's Fish Dace Island. His seniority was extremely high, but because he did not have any disciples, others did not know much about his deeds. However, Taoist Luya's identity and background were frightening. The couplet here, there is Tian behind Hongjun. Taoist Luya is still in front. It was not belittling Hongjuan's identity. It was proving Taoist Luya's identity. This was a figure at the level of the 4 giants of the Primal Chaos Era. His status was even higher than Hongjuan's. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. These were all secrets that had disappeared. Many people even thought that Pangu, Nuwa, the heavenly lord of primordial beginning, and the others were gods that came out of myths. Therefore, there was no need to mention the four giants that were even more ancient than Pangu, Nuwa, and the other living beings. Perhaps no one would believe him even if he told them the secrets that he had learned now, because it was too shocking. I didn't expect that there would be such powerful figures who predated the Khanate life forms. So, they are the earliest living beings in the world. Morong Sun-er's eyes lit up. Obviously, she was shocked. Of course, Lin Feng was also shocked. He rubbed his chin and looked at the statues of Hongjun and Taoist Luya. Then he said, "Let's have a good epiphany here. I feel that this place might hide the Tao of Hongjun and Taoist Luya." Hongjun was the master of Grand Supreme Elder, the heavenly lord of primordial beginning, Pangu, and the Grand Master of Heaven. Taoist Luya could be considered Hongjuan's senior brother. The Tao left behind by such a figure, that was too terrifying. It must be so powerful that it was unimaginable. If he could have an epiphany, the benefits would be endless. Lin Feng and Morong Sun-er sat on the futon and comprehended the Tao. Wanting to comprehend the Tao within was naturally not an easy thing to do. However, as time passed, Lin Feng still sensed a special Tao aura. It was hazy. Lin Feng seemed to have sensed a mysterious, ancient, and vast world. He tried his best to connect with that world. Finally, Lin Feng successfully connected with that mysterious world. Boom! He felt the world spin as he entered that ancient world. Chapter 1543. This was a blurry world. He couldn't even see what was going on around him. What is this place? Lin Feng frowned. His spiritual will had fused with this world, and now his spiritual will had transformed into his appearance. He was flying in this world. Then Lin Feng heard a cry. A fiery red divine bird flew across the sky. That divine bird looked very much like a crow. Taoist Luya is a living being born from the essence of fire. Could the existence that just flew past be transformed by Taoist Luya? Lin Feng was shocked and couldn't help but mutter to himself. He quickly chased after it. In the end, Lin Feng caught up to the fire crow. The fire crow finally transformed into a Taoist. He sat on top of a mountain peak. It was unknown how many years had passed since he sat on this mountain peak. Later, someone came to look for Taoist Luya. This was another ancient existence, Patriarch Hankuan, one of the four giants of the primordial era. He was ranked fourth among the four giants. Enlightening living beings is also a kind of fate. Patriarch Hankuan said, "Could this be the Chaos Era?" Lin Feng muttered. During the Chaos Era, Patriarch Hongjun and Patriarch Hankuan began to enlighten some living beings. Patriarch Hongjun enlightened powerful living beings like Pangu. Patriarch Hankuan liked to enlighten innate living beings in the shape of strange beasts. Not interested. Taoist Luya rolled his eyes and said, "Among the four giants of the primordial era, as the first living being in the universe, Hongmeng was also the most mysterious existence and rarely appeared. When Hongjun and Hankuan were enlightening living beings, Hongmeng was still missing. As for Taoist Luya, he had a rather lazy personality and was not very interested in these things. Therefore, even if Patriarch Hankuan persuaded Taoist Luya to enlighten some living beings, then he would let those living beings pass down his teachings. This way, his teachings could be passed down forever. With more disciples, there would be more people who believed in him. Yes, cultivation. Naturally, there would be great benefits. However, Taoist Luya was clearly not interested in such matters. In the end, Patriarch Hun Kuan stopped persuading Taoist Luya and chose to leave. Taoist Luya had been to many places. He saw the primal chaos era, filled with vitality, which was completely different from the Grand Mist era he lived in. In this era, creatures were being nurtured as if a brand new world was about to be opened. No one knew how many years had passed. Pangu created the world. Nuwa had created billions of living beings. The world became more and more lively. Born before the opening of the sky, buried after the opening of the sky. Taoist Lu was a very strange person. He played in the human world and later felt that there was nothing fun in this world. He thought of burying himself. He had tried many methods, but they all failed. This made Lin Feng speechless. As one of the four giants of the primordial era, Taoist Lu Ye was actually such a weirdo. After Taoist, Lu Ye failed to bury himself. He came to the outer realms. He sat in the starry sky and looked up at the stars in the sky. Immediately after, over the long years, Taoist Lu Ye observed the changes in the stars and evolved a star chart. This star chart was later named Lu Ye's star chart by Taoist Lu Ye. Lin Feng was shocked. Lu Ye's star chart was an extremely powerful divine ability. To be precise, this was the soul refining technique created by Taoist Lu Ye. Lin Feng sat cross-legged, like Taoist Lu Ye, and carefully sensed the changes in the stars. After an unknown period of time, Lin Feng suddenly had a strange feeling. He realized that sometimes he seemed to have become Taoist Lu Ye. Sometimes he became himself again. However, regardless of whether he became Taoist Lu Ye or himself, he was still sitting cross-legged in the starry sky world. Then, he observed the changes in the stars. Gradually, Lin Feng felt enlightened. He realized that the image of the stars in the sky had appeared in his mind. Now, the stars in the sky had turned into a picture. Every time his spiritual will invaded the picture, Lin Feng could see the movement and changes of the stars in the sky. And every time he observed the star chart, his soul power seemed to be able to increase. Lin Feng had heard that the primordial star chart was the #1 soul refining technique in the primordial era. However, how could the primordial star chart compare to the Lu Ye's star chart passed down by Taoist Lu Ye? The primordial star chart was at most a divine ability created by a great emperor. As for Lu Ye's star chart, it was created by one of the four giants of the primordial era, Taoist Lu Ye. As for Taoist Lu Ye's cultivation level, Lin Feng did not know. However, one thing was clear. Taoist Lu Ye's strength was definitely not something that a great emperor could compare to. Billions of stars were mountains and rivers. The universe was hidden in his heart. With a thought, he could reverse the stars. With a move, he could shatter the worlds. Incantations echoed in Lin Feng's mind. The mysteries of Lu Ye's star chart flowed in Lin Feng's heart. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ye's star chart was finally deeply imprinted in Lin Feng's mind. He could never forget it. He had learned the soul refining technique created by Taoist Lu Ye. To Lin Feng, this could be said to be a great opportunity. Lu Ye's star chart was mysterious and unfathomable. It was not as simple as increasing one's soul power. Of course, Lin Feng needed to slowly comprehend the specific mysteries. Taoist Lu Ye stood up. I want to bury myself. Why can't I do it? I wonder what Hong Meng, Hong Jun, and Hun Kuan are doing now. Taoist Lu Ye muttered. He first went to look for Hong Jun. This was because Taoist Lu Ye had the strongest relationship with Hong Jun. When he arrived at Hong Jun's place of seclusion, it was already empty. He did not know where Hong Jun had gone to. Where did that old fart go? Taoist Lu Ye muttered. After leaving Taoist Hongjuan's Tao Temple, he immediately headed to Patriarch Hun Kuan's Tao Temple. However, after arriving at Patriarch Hun Kuan's Tao Temple, he did not find him. Patriarch Hun Kuan had disappeared without a trace like Hongjun. Where did he go? Could it be that he went to enlighten innate spirits again? Taoist Luya muttered, "I'll go take a look at Old Decent." Taoist Luya left and headed to Hongmeng's Tao Temple. Hongmeng was ranked first among the 4 heavyweights. He was also the most mysterious existence. Rumor had it that Hongmeng was a living being born from purple light. In the world of cultivators, purple light represented nobility, just like how domineering it was. Purple domineering aura represented supreme domineering aura. After arriving at Hongmeng Tao Temple, he found that Hongmeng was not there. At that moment, Taoist Lu Ye felt that something was amiss. He used his technique of becoming one with the world to sense Hongmeng, Hongjun, and Patriarch Hun Kuan. However, the result left Taoist Lu Ye aghast. He was actually unable to sense Hongmeng, Hongjun, or Patriarch Hun Kuan's auras. Lin Feng was also very surprised. What was going on? Why had Hongmeng, Hongjun, and Patriarch Hun Kuan's auras vanished? Could it be that he had fallen? But who could have killed them? Chapter 1544. Taoist Lu Ye searched for a long time, traversing mountains and rivers, but to no avail. He had no idea what had happened. Of the 4 giants of the primordial era, he was the only one left in this world. The other 3 had disappeared without a trace. It really made people feel strange. Their disappearance was too strange. As for whether they had died or not, Taoist Lu Ye wasn't sure. In his opinion, no one in this world could kill Hongmeng, Hongjun, and Hun Kuan. Taoist Lu Ye mumbled, "Could he have committed suicide?" Then Taoist Lu Ye shook his head and said, "Those 3 fellows are not people who would casually commit suicide. Even I didn't die when I committed suicide. If they really committed suicide, they definitely wouldn't die. What's the problem? Is there something in this universe that I don't know about? No, this won't do. I need to divine what's going on." With that thought, Taoist Lu Ye set up the incense table and took out 3 tortoiseshell. He seemed to be about to perform a divination. Swish, at that moment, all the images disappeared. Lin Feng was back in the real world. Lin Feng had no idea what happened after that. Lin Feng didn't know if Taoist Lu Ye had divined the whereabouts of Hongmeng, Hongjun, and Hun Kuan. Those things were destined to remain a mystery to Lin Feng. It's a pity that I can't find out what happened in the past. However, my harvest today is quite heaven-defying. I actually obtained Taoist Lu Ye's stargazing chart. I wonder if I can be considered half a successor of Taoist Lu Ye. If so, will I be able to obtain Taoist Lu Ye's legacy in the future? Lin Feng muttered in his heart. He closed his eyes and activated Lu Ye's star observation chart, starting to cultivate his soul. Lin Feng could sense that his soul was becoming stronger at an incredible speed. In a short time, he would break through to the godly layer. Not long after, Murong Sun woke up. Looking at her beaming face, she must have obtained a lot of benefits. However, Lin Feng and Murong Sun didn't talk much about it. Both of them had their own fortuitous encounters. Forcing the other person's fortuitous encounter would not be tolerated by the great Tao. The heavenly Tao was able to sense everything. Lin Feng and Murong Sun walked out of the Merit Palace and went to the other palaces. Inside the palace, the 3 pure ones were enshrined. They were the heavenly Lord Yuanshe, the Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, and the heavenly Lord Daoda. There was also a palace dedicated to the White Crane Boy. Lin Feng and Murong Sun muttered after seeing the White crane boy. The white crane boy was actually a child who appeared to be only 3 or 4 years old. Morongsun asked, could it be that white crane boy has never grown up? Lin Feng nodded. That's possible. The two of them then bowed to the white crane boy. He had entered someone else's territory. You want to take my treasure? It would be inexcusable if he didn't pay his respects to his master. However, when Lin Feng and Morong Sun bowed to the white crane boy, they felt extremely strange. After bowing, Lin Feng said, let's go and find the treasury left behind by white crane boy. We've already agreed that I'll take 80 and you take 20. Although Morong Sun was extremely unwilling, she could only accept it. She glared fiercely at Lin Feng and then began to search the treasury. It didn't take long for them to find a treasury. However, when they opened it, they found that it was empty. Damn, someone beat us to it. Seeing that the treasury had been emptied, Lin Feng immediately cried out gloomily, who the hell did this? They actually emptied the treasury. Next, Lin Feng and Morong Sun found another 6 or 7 treasuries, but they were all empty. All the treasures found in the vaults had been taken away by someone else. This made Lin Feng and Morong Sun furious. The treasures left behind by White Crane Boy must be incomparably precious. With so many treasures in the treasury, this was a huge windfall. They were actually taken away by someone else. Who else could it be? Who wouldn't be depressed? When they reached the 9th treasury, Lin Feng and Morong Sun finally found a clue. Immeasurable deity. This Taoist master was here. They found a line of twisted words in the 9th treasury. Obviously, from the clues, they knew that the bastard who came here and emptied the 9th treasury was a Taoist master. As for who this Taoist master was, they didn't know. Why do I feel that this handwriting is a bit familiar? Lin Feng looked at the twisted words and felt a bit apprehensive. Suddenly, a person popped up in his mind. But then, Lin Feng quickly shook his head. How could it be that guy? This treasury was emptied who knows how many tens of thousands of years ago. It definitely wasn't something that happened recently, because the guy who emptied the treasury and left behind a line of words, the handwriting was from the immemorial era. This should be done by a Taoist master from the immemorial era, and the person that appeared in Lin Feng's mind, it was immeasurable Taoist. But then again, this handwriting was quite similar to immeasurable Taoists. Damn Taoist! Morong Sun cursed the Taoist master who emptied the treasury. Lin Feng and Morong Sun continued to look for new treasures. Finally, they found the 10th treasury. When they arrived at the 10th treasury, Lin Feng and Morong Sun were very happy because the seal of the 10th treasury was still there, which meant that the 10th treasury wasn't emptied by the Taoist master from before. Could it be that he found his conscience? That's why he didn't empty the treasury? Lin Feng muttered in his heart. Lin Feng broke the seal of the 10th treasury and then entered it with Morong Sun. After entering the 10th treasury, he discovered that it was filled with piles of immortal iron and immortal stones. Morong Shui said in surprise, "This is the place where treasures and materials are stored." Lin Feng nodded, looking at the piles of various materials. His eyes were shining. Heavenly crystal stone, black demon stone, raging flame heavenly stone, great flood dragon blood stone, Qilin fallen immortal iron, Xianming ghost iron. Looking at the piles of various materials, Lin Feng felt very excited. These materials were all rare treasures. At the very least, they could be used to create divine tools. Some materials, such as the 9th heaven sacred stone, could even be used to create emperor weapons. We're really rich. This kind of material can be sold for a sky-high price. With so many materials, how many divine tools can be created? Lin Feng took a deep breath and said aloud, Chapter 1545. Murong Sun curled her lips and said, Why do you need so many treasures? It's better to accumulate treasures, magical powers, or divine-level star stones. Murong Sun obviously didn't care about these things. However, it was normal. Lin Feng was very excited when he saw the various materials for forging treasures. This was because Lin Feng was very ambitious. In the future, Lin Feng will continue to expand his forces, especially when he goes to the 9 regions in the future. Maybe he will establish his own forces. To establish a force, he naturally needs to build a strong army. To build a cultivator army, he needs to equip the cultivator army with powerful treasures to increase the combat power of the cultivator army. Divine tools are precious. This is because the materials for forging divine tools are too difficult to find. Many divine realm cultivators can't even forge divine tools because they can't find the materials, or they can't find the precious materials to upgrade their life source treasures to the level of divine tools. Therefore, for the ambitious Lin Feng, who wants to do something, these materials for forging divine tools are very precious. Murong Sun obviously doesn't think so. She is a woman and has no ambition. At most, she cares about her future cultivation. Naturally, she wants to get more cultivation resources. Lin Feng said, If you don't want these forging materials, I will take them all and open the other treasures. You can choose what you want. Murong Sun has no objection to Lin Feng's proposal. She said, Okay, in that case, it's a deal. Lin Feng nodded and began to collect the forging materials in the treasury. With so many forging materials, Lin Feng felt that it would be no problem to forge thousands of divine tools. The only problem is that it is difficult to find a divine realm blacksmith. But this is something to consider in the future. After all the materials were collected by Lin Feng and Murong Sun continued to look for the next treasury. They found the 11th treasury. After Lin Feng opened the 11th treasury, he found that there are many bookshelves in the treasury, and on the bookshelves there are all kinds of scrolls. Ancient star map. Lin Feng was surprised and found many ancient star maps on a bookshelf. This bookshelf is full of ancient star maps. This is the ancient star map to the Undying Realm. Lin Feng opened a scroll of the ancient star map and suddenly showed a shocked expression. The Undying Realm is the most mysterious realm in the 3,000 Great Worlds. It's also ranked first in the 3,000 Great Worlds. Since ancient times, how many experts want to go to the Undying Realm? The Undying Realm had true and pure immortal chi. Cultivators who cultivated in the Undying Realm had a chance to enter the Emperor Realm. Among the 3,000 Great Worlds, perhaps only the Undying Realm. The ancient, therefore, countless experts from the 3,000 macro worlds wanted to go to the Undying Realm. Going to the Undying Realm was naturally not a problem, but first you'd need the ancient star map. In this vast, have no ancient star map. To be Lint T have no where you want to know V have no where you want any ancient star map is extremely precious, but the most precious ancient star map is the one to the Undying Realm, the Demon Realm, the Devil Realm, and other great worlds. There were over 100 bookshelves here, and on each shelf there were about 30 or so ancient star charts. Altogether, there were about 3,000 ancient star diagrams. The boundless starry sky world was boundless. 3,000 ancient star maps. There is a limit to how far one can go. But without these 3,000 ancient star maps, entering the starry world, it was completely black, and his eyes were completely blind. You can't go anywhere. In addition to the ancient star map, there are many divine ability scrolls, formation scrolls, and alchemy scrolls. These scrolls can be copied. So after copying, Lin Feng and Murong Sun each had a copy. They continued to look for the next treasury. Lin Feng and Murong Sun found the 12th treasury. In the 12th treasury, there are many rare treasures. There are some rare treasures that Lin Feng has never seen before. They are very ancient and have long been lost. For example, there is a treasure called the Starry Sky Pearl. This treasure only needs to be injected with magic power to activate. Then, it is placed in the room at night. There is no need to light it. The whole room will become a scene of the starry world, beautiful and magnificent. Such a treasure is not useful for cultivation, but it can improve the quality of life and make life more enjoyable. Suddenly, Lin Feng saw a glass bottle. There is an ancient ship sealed in the bottle. He took the glass bottle and observed it carefully. Suddenly, Lin Feng found that the ancient ship sealed in the glass bottle is not simple. The ancient ship is called the Xianyuan ship. The dragon's bones were made from the spine of a golden dragon. The hull of the ship was made of divine black wood. Divine black wood is recognized as one of the best materials to make an ancient ship. In the immortal ancient era, divine black wood has been extinct for a long time. Obviously, this ancient ship was made before the immortal ancient era. It has a long history. In addition to the materials, Lin Feng found that the spirit stone cannons on this ancient ship are also very special. Ordinary ancient ships have one cannon muzzle and one spirit stone cannon. However, this ancient ship has 3 spirit stone cannons in one cannon muzzle. The 3 spirit stone cannons seem to be glued together. They can fire 3 cannons at the same time. The lethality is even more powerful. The more Lin Feng looks at this ancient ship, the more he likes it. This is definitely the most advanced ancient ship. Lin Feng feels that this ancient ship is not inferior to the ancient ships controlled by the 9 great pirate kings. It is even more powerful than the ancient ships controlled by the 9 great pirate kings. Lin Feng's eyes then looked at the 2 words Xianyuan. After seeing these 2 words, Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Xianyuan is an amazing surname. There are very few people with the surname Xianyuan. In all these years, Lin Feng has not seen many people with the surname Xianyuan. The surname Xianyuan originated from the 5 emperors Xianyuan of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. The Xianyuan is the leader of the 5 emperors, also known as the Yellow Emperor. This is the ancestor of the human race. Lin Feng opened the bottle and his divine consciousness invaded the Xianyuan ship. Instantly, Lin Feng felt an extremely ancient aura. The Xianyuan ship needs a captain. Suddenly, Lin Feng heard a voice. It sounded like he was in a trance. However, when Lin Feng listened carefully, the voice disappeared without a trace. Chapter 1546. Why is there no sound? It's really strange. Lin Feng frowned. Did I hear it wrong? After muttering to himself, Lin Feng put the ancient ship into his storage ring. He will be able to use it when he travels in the starry sky world in the future. It's said that an ancient ship can fight against a fleet. It's a powerful ancient ship, like the Xianyuan. Lin Feng continued to collect other treasures. In the end, he and Murong Sun divided the treasures in the treasury. After coming out of the treasury, the 2 continued to look for other treasures. There are a lot of palaces here, a total of 300 to 400 palaces. However, Lin Feng and Murong Sun did not find any new treasures. It seems like there are only 12 treasures. Lin Feng and Murong Sun took the treasures of the 9 vaults. The remaining 3 vaults were taken by the mysterious Taoist priest. There seems to be a medicinal garden over there. Murong Sun pointed at a courtyard not far away. Immortal Qi lingered in the courtyard, bursts of dazzling immortal light. A rich medicinal fragrance spread out from the courtyard. Yeah, yeah. Bibi woke up first. It opened its big cute eyes and rubbed its eyes with its little paws. It looked at the direction of the medicinal garden and almost drooled after seeing such a charmingly naive Bei. Murong Sun, Er's eyes suddenly lit up. Bei was such a cute, snow-white little beast. To a woman, it definitely possessed a huge killing power. What kind of little beast is this? It's so cute. Let sister hug you. Murong Sun stretched out her hands and wanted to hug the little beast. However, the little beast was one step ahead. It turned into a beam of light and flew towards the medicinal garden. Murong Sun hugged empty air and groaned in dissatisfaction. The dragon rabbit also woke up at this time. After it came out, it also turned into a beam of light and rushed towards the medicinal garden. The two little gluttons are very young, so they are very sleepy. Only after smelling delicious food will they be excited. Dragon rabbit, you're actually raising a dragon rabbit, Murong Sun exclaimed in surprise. Lin Feng walked towards the herb garden. He looked at Murong Sun and said, I'm telling you, don't even think about my two little beasts. Murong Sun snorted, am I that kind of person? Lin Feng asked solemnly, I'll beat you to death for slandering me. Murong Sun screamed and rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng got rid of Murong Sun in a few leaps and then came to the front of the herb garden. He observed for a moment and discovered that the medicinal garden originally had restrictions. However, perhaps too much time had passed, so the restrictions of the medicinal garden had basically dissipated. Lin Feng broke the last few weak restrictions and entered the medicinal garden. A refreshing medicinal fragrance filled the air. In the medicinal garden, there were all kinds of spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits. Many of the spiritual herbs were more than 10,000 years old. King-level herbs that were more than 50,000 years old could be seen everywhere. And there were even many sage herbs that were more than 100,000 years old. In the depths of the medicinal garden, there were 10 immortality peach trees. Lin Feng was shocked when he saw the immortality peach trees. The immortality peach trees were densely packed with immortality peaches. One peach could extend one's life by 3,000 years. That was a treasure. Wow, immortality peach trees. We're rich. Murong Sun exclaimed excitedly. Bibi and the dragon rabbit were sitting on top of the tree eating immortality peaches. The two little ones were eating happily, and their stomachs were round. Lin Feng and Murong Sun arrived in front of the 10 immortality peach trees. Murong Sun took out a shovel and a hoe from her storage ring. Lin Feng asked curiously, What are you doing? I'm going to move the immortality peaches and grow them myself. Murong Sun said. Can you grow them? Lin Feng asked. You see this soil? It's called immortal jade magic soil. It's used to grow all kinds of spiritual herbs and immortality peach trees. As long as we have this soil, we won't have to worry about the immortality peach trees dying. Murong Sun pointed at the soil under her feet. This kind of soil was very special. It was pitch black in color. Sometimes it would emit strands of immortal qi and sometimes strands of demonic qi. Every grain of soil was sparkling and translucent, as if they were polished jade. Lin Feng took out a shovel and a hoe. These things were essential for cultivators. After all, they could come across precious spiritual herbs when they were outside. If the roots of some spiritual herbs were destroyed, their medicinal properties would be greatly reduced. Therefore, they needed to use these tools to carefully dig them out. Lin Feng dug out 8 immortality peach trees and a large amount of immortal jade magic soil. After plucking all the immortality peach trees, He planted them in the demonic beast's space. Bibi and Dragon Rabbit were also full. They returned to the Imperial Beast pouch and went back to sleep. Lin Feng and Morong Sun Air continued to pluck spiritual herbs in the herb garden. This time, they really made a fortune by finding the White Crane Boys' dojo. The only pity was that the 9 treasures were taken away by the Daoist. Otherwise, this trip to the White Crane Boys' dojo would be perfect. After plucking the spiritual herbs, Lin Feng and Morong Sun Air continued to look for a way to go to the primitive secret realm. They found a huge palace in the depths of the palace. The palace's door was tightly shut. Lin Feng and Morong Sun Air pushed the door open. But then, a terrifying sword chi shook out. It instantly enveloped Lin Feng and Morong Sun Air. At that moment, Lin Feng and Morong Sun Air felt the aura of death enveloping them. Retreat. Lin Feng grabbed Morong Sun Air and got rid of the terrifying sword chi. They quickly retreated from the area covered by the sword chi. Morong Sun Air's face was slightly pale. She said, "What a terrifying sword chi. Is there a peerless divine sword in this palace?" Lin Feng nodded solemnly and looked into the depths of the palace. At that moment, he saw 9 palm-sized swords floating in the air. Each of the swords shook slightly. It was as if they could collapse the void. Chaos-treasured swords? Morong Sun Air also saw the 9 swords and could not help but exclaim. Morong Sun Air's eyes shone brightly. She said, "I know these 9 swords are not only powerful treasures, but they are also the 9 keys to enter the primitive secret realm." "Oh, how so?" Lin Feng asked. "Because the primitive secret realm is surrounded by the power of chaos. It is as difficult as ascending to the heavens to break it open. These chaos-treasured swords should be able to tear apart the power of chaos protecting the primitive secret realm. As long as they tear apart the power of chaos protecting the primitive secret realm, it will be easy to break the barrier of the primitive secret realm and enter it," Morong Sun Air said. As soon as Morong Sun Air finished speaking, the 9 chaos-treasured swords quickly rushed out. Chapter 1547. 9 swords together. Open the secret realm. 9 small swords of chaos flew out of the palace as a deep voice reverberated through the clouds. Then, the 9 flying swords quickly flew into the sky. Not good. The 9 tiny swords seemed to be trying to escape. Morong Sun Air's pretty face changed slightly. She quickly took out her 8 trigrams furnace. The 8 trigrams cauldron flew into the air, intending to devour the 9 chaos swords by force. However, the 9 tiny swords of chaos unleashed billions of sword chi and sent the 8 trigrams cauldron flying. What a powerful little primal chaos sword. Lin Feng was shocked when he saw the 9 small primal chaos swords send the 8 trigrams cauldron flying. Lin Feng hurriedly took out his heaven-swallowing jar. The heaven-swallowing jar flew over. What a powerful devouring power. It enveloped the 9 small chaotic swords. Just like the 8 trigrams cauldron, the 9 tiny swords sent the heaven-devouring jar flying. No, he's too strong. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. After the heaven-devouring jar was sent flying, he quickly flew out. With a wave of his hand, monstrous mana surged out and wrapped around a small chaos sword. Morong Sun continued to use her 8 trigrams furnace to collect the small primal chaos swords. This time, Morong Sun also locked onto a small primal chaos sword. Lin Feng and Morong Sun each took a small chaos sword. Just as he was about to collect the other chaos swords, the other chaos swords had already flown far away. Chase them. These primal chaos swords are priceless treasures. We can't let them escape. Lin Feng quickly chased after him. Morong Sun also chased after them. Unfortunately, they weren't able to catch up to the rest of the chaos swords. Those tiny chaotic swords tore through the void and disappeared without a trace. What a pity! Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Right now, there were a total of 3 swords in his revered sword tomb. Black Dragon Sword, Undying Sword, Sword of Spring and Autumn. The power of the revered sword mound would increase tremendously once it was placed inside. The only pity was that, as of now, he only had 1 Chaos Sword. These small swords are like the keys to the Origin Secret Realm. We each have a small sword, so we have the keys to enter the Origin Secret Realm. That's the biggest gain from this trip to the White Crane Boys' dojo. Morong Sun Air said. But where is the premier mystic realm? We don't know. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Now that the 7 swords have flown out, they'll definitely be taken by some powerful groups. Those strong cultivators will definitely be able to sense where the Origin Secret area is. The 9 swords need to be used at the same time to tear the Origin Secret area apart. Therefore, we don't need to know where the Origin Secret area is. When the time comes, those people will definitely send people to find us so that we can open the Origin Secret area with them. Morong Sun Air said. Lin Feng nodded. He left the Immortal Court's secret realm with Morong Sun Er. The White Crane was waiting outside. The 2 of them sat on the White Crane. After the White Crane let out a loud cry, it spread its wings and flew into the distance. After about a day and a half, the White Crane carried Lin Feng and Morong Sun Er to the outer area of the painting world. Asterisk whoosh, asterisk Lin Feng and Morong Sun Er jumped up and flew out of the painting world. Then they appeared in the room. As soon as they flew out, the painting scroll spontaneously combusted. Morong Sun Er suddenly shouted, "Why is it combusting?" Lin Feng said, "It seems that the White Crane boy doesn't want anyone to enter his dojo." Morong Sun Er nodded helplessly. It was nighttime. Lin Feng saw the bright moon through the window. He looked at Morong Sun Er with a smile and said, "It's such a beautiful night. A man and a woman alone in a room. Why don't we turn off the lights and go to sleep?" Morong Sun Er's pretty face turned cold. She stared fiercely at Lin Feng and said, fiercely, "Why don't you go die?" Then she raised her right leg and kicked Lin Feng before running out of the door. Lin Feng smiled. It was quite interesting to tease Morong Sun Er. Tiandao State, Tiandao Sect. It was famous. Every year, countless people would go to Tiandao Sect, or to ask for immortal medicine, or to join the sect. There were all kinds of reasons. Therefore, the road to Tiandao Sect was extremely lively. Cultivators could be seen passing by everywhere. Tiandao Town was 38,000 miles away from Tiandao Sect. It would take about 5 days to reach by beast carriage. However, it would take some time to pass through an ancient primitive forest where fierce beasts ran rampant. But even if it took some time, it should take about 8 or 9 days to reach Tiandao Sect. People came and went in the town, and it was very lively. Most of the cultivators here were going to Tiandao Sect. Lin Feng was eating in a restaurant. The restaurant was very popular, and it was full every day. Many people were talking about the various rumors they heard. However, no one knew how true these rumors were. There were also many cultivators who were bragging about their relationship with a certain powerful figure, or they would brag about how many days and nights they had fought with a powerful, ferocious beast and finally killed it. This kind of restaurant was a place to gather and brag. At this time, 3 people came to the second floor. One was an old man, and the other 2 were young. The old man should be an old servant or a housekeeper. He followed behind the 2 young people. The 2 young people were a man and a woman. The man looked about 27 or 28 years old. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was very handsome. The woman was about 22 or 23 years old. She had an enchanting figure and a delicate oval face. She could be called a rare beauty. There's no room. Why don't we go somewhere else? The woman frowned when she saw that the restaurant was full. The man said, "Every restaurant is like this. There are too many people going to Tiandao sect." The man looked around and saw Lin Feng drinking alone. He walked over to Lin Feng's table. "Brother, may I have a table with you?" The man cupped his fists and asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Have a seat." "Ha! Brother is really forthright. I am Chang Jian, and this is my younger sister, Chang Qianqian. How should I address you?" The man said with a smile. Lin Feng said indifferently, "We met by chance. There's no need to ask for my name." When Chang Qianqian saw that Chang Jian was defeated, she immediately looked at Lin Feng coldly. She wanted to say something, but Chang Jian quickly pulled her back. Chang Jian knew his younger sister's personality. Once she made a scene, it would be difficult to get away. Chapter 1548. Although Chang Jian and Chang Qianqian were siblings, their personalities were completely different. Chang Jian was calm, low-key, and had a sense of propriety. He was highly regarded in the clan. On the other hand, Chang Qianqian had a Missy's temper. She was arrogant, unreasonable, and so on. This time, Chang Jian did not plan to bring Chang Qianqian along. However, Chang Qianqian secretly followed him. After walking for tens of thousands of miles, Chang Qianqian finally appeared. Chang Jian was worried about letting Chang Qianqian go back at this time, so he could only bring his willful sister along. Chang Qianqian listened to her brother more. Therefore, she could only endure it and not find trouble with Lin Feng. She sat at the side, angrily. A waiter brought the menu over. Chang Jian casually ordered a few dishes and a pot of wine. After the dishes were served, Chang Jian poured a cup of wine and said, "It's fate that we met. I propose a toast to brother." Lin Feng picked up the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Chang Qianqian glared at Lin Feng from time to time. She really did not understand why her brother was so polite to someone who looked like a rogue cultivator. As for her clan, no matter what, it was still an ancient power. As the successor of the clan, to be so polite to a rogue cultivator, wasn't this lowering her status? "Brother, are you also going to the Tiandao sect?" Chang Jian could not help but ask. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right." Lin Feng was a man of few words. Chang Jian was rather curious about Lin Feng's solitary trip to the Tiandao sect. Apprenticeship? Or was he seeking medicine? Of course, Chang Jian did not pry into Lin Feng's privacy. This was because Chang Jian knew that prying into other people's privacy would easily cause them to dislike him. Chang Jian said, "The two of us are also going to the Tiandao sect. Brother, why don't you come with us later? There will be someone to chat with on the way. It won't be too lonely." Lin Feng did not immediately agree. Instead, he calmly said, "You don't look like you're going to the Tiandao sect to learn martial arts. Why are you heading to the Tiandao sect?" "We're going to the Heavenly Dao sect to ask for medicine. My grandfather is injured and needs a medicinal pill called the Heavenly Jade Han Exine pill to save his life. That's why we're going to the Heavenly Dao sect to ask for such a medicinal pill." Lin Feng nodded. The Tiandao sect is a great sect, a holy land for cultivation. It can concoct many precious pills, but it's not easy to ask for medicine. If everyone went to the Tiandao sect to ask for medicine, wouldn't the sect be busy to death? At that moment, Chang Qianqian said proudly, "We've already contacted a deacon of the Tiandao sect. He said that he can introduce us to an elder of the Tiandao sect. At that time, you can also benefit from us and enter the Tiandao sect." Chang Qianqian's personality was clearly immature. She wanted to show off her abilities, but she did not have any bad intentions. Lin Feng did not pay too much attention to her style of speaking. If an expert like Lin Feng did not have this much tolerance, it would be impossible for him to gain the support of so many cultivators in so many places. In reality, Lin Feng was a very broad-minded person. Chang Jian hurriedly said, "Brother, my sister is young and doesn't know any better. If she says something wrong, please don't blame her." Lin Feng smiled. "Don't worry, I won't bicker with her." Chang Qianqian was furious. What kind of person is this? Won't bicker with me? He's just a wandering cultivator. His tone was as arrogant as the heavens. She really did not know what this guy had to be so proud of. After the meal, they hurried on their way. Other than Chang Jian, Chang Qianqian, and the housekeeper, there were also a dozen guards in the Chang clan. Lin Feng sat in the beast carriage at the back with his eyes closed. Chang Jian and Chang Qianqian sat in the beast carriage at the front. "Second brother, why are you so polite to that person? He's just a rogue cultivator, yet he acts so high and mighty. We asked him for his name, but he didn't even tell us. Who does he think he is? There's no need to care about this kind of person." Chang Qianqian said. Chang Jian said, "You're still young and don't know how to judge people. Although I can't see through this person, I feel that there's something strange about him. He might not be an ordinary person." Although Chang Qianqian did not think that Lin Feng was some big shot, but Chang Qianqian was actually quite convinced by her second brother's ability to judge people. Hearing her second brother say this, she could only nod her head. The beast carriage passed through the primitive forest, and from time to time they would see many cultivators passing by one after another. On this day, when they were resting, they seemed to be able to see mountains in the distance and fog curling up in spirals. It seemed that they were not far away from the exit. The group was relatively lucky and did not encounter any powerful beasts. "We'll be out in another day's journey. That's the immortal mountain where the Heavenly Tao sect is located. It's a holy land for seeking immortality." Chang Jian pointed to the mist-shrouded area in the depths and said. Lin Feng smiled and said, "The Heavenly Tao sect can be called a place for seeking immortality, but it can't be said to be a place for seeking immortality. Such a force is like a grain of sand in the Milky Way. It's nothing. A true place for seeking immortality is at least one of the top forces in the ancient times." Brother is experienced and knowledgeable. I've learned a lot. Chang Jian cupped his fists. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Walk around more and come into contact with more people. You will know the difference between seeking immortality and seeking immortality." Chang Qianqian, who was at the side, could not help but roll her eyes. She thought to herself, "This guy's tone is too arrogant. Does he really think of himself as some kind of powerful person?" Chang Qianqian was a little dissatisfied with her second brother. "Chang Jian, that guy is obviously the same age as you. Yet, he refuted what you said. Isn't he teaching you a lesson? He's a rogue cultivator, and a rogue cultivator of the same generation as you. What right does he have to teach you a lesson? You're a disciple of an aristocratic family. He's not giving you any face. You're still nodding and praising him, humbly accepting his teachings. How disappointing." Chang Qian looked at her second brother helplessly. She remembered what her second brother had told her. She didn't want to offend Lin Feng, but she groaned coldly inside. "Wait until you're in a place like the Tian Dao sect. You're just a small independent cultivator. You'll be at a loss. I'll make fun of you then. You'll never be able to raise your head again. You'll never be able to raise your head again." Thinking of this, Chang Qianqian's mood seemed to improve a lot. A day later, the group finally arrived at the outskirts of the Heavenly Tao sect. Looking into the depths, there was a white mist lingering around the mountains. There was a dragon vein hibernating underground. The Heavenly Tao sect could be considered a rather good cultivation, holy land. Lin Feng's mood was very complicated. I haven't seen you for 10 years. I wonder if you're doing well. What will it be like when we meet again? Will we be strangers? Chapter 1549. Seeing Lin Feng lowering his head and not saying anything, Chang Qianqian immediately revealed a smile, because in Chang Qianqian's opinion, Lin Feng was definitely feeling guilty, which was why he didn't say anything. There were people everywhere. There were disciples of the Heavenly Tao sect watching from the side, maintaining order. The old servant came in front of a disciple and handed him a storage bag. It was probably filled with spirit stones. Then he lowered his head and whispered something. Then the disciple nodded, gave some instructions to the surrounding disciples, and walked towards the mountain gate. The old servant walked over and said, "Young master, that disciple has already gone to invite Deacon Li." Chang Jian said, "All right, then let's wait here for a while." Chang Qianqian said, "Second brother, I don't know if we can ask for the Tianyuhan Xian pill. Right now, my heart is in turmoil." Chang Jian touched the area below his neck. There was a necklace around his neck. On the necklace, there was a storage ring hanging on his body. Inside this storage ring, there were 10 million top-grade spirit stones. In order to save their grandfather, the Chang clan had also gone all out. They had exchanged a third of their family's wealth for top-grade spirit stones, just to ask for pills. As for more spirit stones, it would be very difficult to take them out. After all, a huge family like the Chang clan required a large amount of funds to operate, and the young and old also required cultivation resources to cultivate. If he were to take out more spirit stones, it would obviously cripple this clan, or even cause it to collapse and never be able to recover. Thus, Chang Jian was also very worried. Could 10 million top-grade spirit stones be enough to ask for the Tianyuhan Xian pill? If he couldn't get it, what should he do? Watch his grandfather die of serious injuries? Thinking of this, Chang Jian's mood also became serious. Perhaps Chang Qianqian had also thought of this point. Her pretty face was slightly pale, and even the thought of going against Lin Feng had disappeared at this moment. Everything depends on human effort. There are many things that need to be done naturally. Lin Feng said, "I hope everything goes well." Chang Jian said with a wry smile. At this time, a deacon followed the previous disciple and flew over from afar, landing on the stone steps. This deacon should be the deacon Li that the old servant had mentioned. This deacon Li looked to be in his 40s. He had a thin figure and a malicious gaze. He had his hands behind his back and had the posture of a superior. He indifferently glanced at Chang Jian, Chang Qianqian, and Lin Feng and said, "Which one of you is Chang Jian?" "Junior is Chang Jian," greets Deacon Li. Chang Jian did not dare to hesitate and hurriedly bowed to Deacon Li, said Lin Feng while shaking his head. He was just a deacon. In the Tian Dao sect, he was just an ordinary deacon. In the eyes of the heavens, people who cultivated in large sections. Their status seemed to always be higher than ordinary forces. "And come with me," Deacon Li said. "Let's." Chang Jian glanced at Lin Feng and Chang Qianqian. "Who are these two people?" "Who?" Manager Li frowned slightly. "This is my younger sister, and this is my good friend. I hope that Deacon Li can make an exception for us," said Lin Feng. Deacon Li frowned. The old servant quickly stuffed a storage pouch into Deacon Li's Deacon Li. It was obviously filled with spirit stones. Deacon Li pondered for a moment, and his expression became slightly better. "Your sister can enter. As for this brat, he's just an outsider. He can wait at the foot of the mountain. Not just anyone can enter Tian Dao sect." Deacon Li said arrogantly. Chang Jian smiled bitterly and looked at Lin Feng apologetically. Lin Feng stepped forward and said indifferently, "If I want to enter Tiandao sect, your sect master will have to kneel and welcome me. You're just a mere deacon. How dare you stop me?" When Lin Feng said those words, the crowd at the foot of the mountain, which was initially very lively, suddenly became absolutely silent. Everyone stood rooted to the ground in a daze at that instant. Many people could not believe their ears. They thought they had heard wrong. A very young cultivator, he actually dared to say that, "If I enter Tiandao sect, even the sect master will have to kneel and welcome me." Moreover, he said it at the foot of Tiandao sect. He said this to a deacon Li of Tiandao sect. This person was tired of living. So, was he tired of living? This was simply courting death. Many people thought that Lin Feng must be crazy. If he was not crazy, how could he say such words? When Chang Jian and Chang Qianqian heard Lin Feng's words, they were so scared that their bodies trembled. Both of their faces were as pale as paper. They knew that Lin Feng was in big trouble this time. What did you say?" Deacon Li was so angry that he was incoherent. He looked at Lin Feng angrily. "Deacon Li, please don't get angry. My friend was just a bit excited after seeing the heavenly Tao sect's might. He said the wrong thing. Deacon Li, please forgive him since he's young and doesn't know any better." Chang Jian hurriedly begged. Lin Feng said, "Brother Chang, why do you have to be so humble? Who can stop me from going where I want to go? A mere Tiandao sect, in my eyes, is nothing more than a speck of dust in the mortal world. Rise and fall, life and death, all within a year of mine. Crazy, this brat is crazy. Oh my God, I've never seen such a madman. He's bragging to the heavens." Many people at the foot of the mountain were discussing as they looked at Lin Feng. It was no different from looking at a dead man. They had never seen a madman like Lin Feng. Chang Jian and Chang Qianqian's faces were deathly pale. They knew. Lin Feng said these words. There was no room for reconciliation. Even they might be implicated because of this. The two siblings were trembling in fear. "Brat, you're courting death." Deacon Li shouted angrily and slapped towards Lin Feng. "Humph!" Lin Feng coldly snorted and took a step forward. His divine might spread for 100,000 li. It was as if a god had descended. Deacon Li couldn't take it and knelt on the ground with a plop. Everyone at the foot of the mountain couldn't withstand the pressure emitted by Lin Feng's body. Plop, plop. Countless people knelt on the ground. Other than Chang Jian, Chang Qianqian, and the old servant, no one else could stand. Lin Feng walked towards the Tiandao sect. "An old friend has come to visit. Where is Lan Ruo?" Lin Feng shouted softly. His voice resounded throughout the entire Tiandao sect. "Who dares to barge into my Tiandao sect?" Angry shouts resounded as the Tiandao sect's elders all flew out of the elders' hall. They looked at Lin Feng, who was walking up the stone steps, and couldn't help but shout angrily, "Ants and dogs, how dare you speak so loudly in front of me?" Lin Feng shouted coldly, and with a step, his body appeared in midair. Hundreds of Tiandao sect's elders lost control of their bodies and fell to the ground one by one, kneeling on both knees. "Who are you?" The hundreds of kneeling Tiandao sect's elders looked at Lin Feng, who was like a god in midair, in horror as they asked in trembling voices. Chapter 1550. Chang Jian and Chang Qianqian looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a god. Their hearts were filled with shock. Chang Jian felt that Lin Feng might not be a simple person. However, Chang Jian had never thought that Lin Feng would be so powerful. Was he a god? Chang Qianqian was also shocked. She had always thought that Lin Feng was too arrogant and self-righteous. However, she only knew now how wrong she was. Such a powerful person. It should be a great honor for the siblings to be able to eat at the same table and talk to them, right? Humph. At that moment, a cold snort came from the depths of the Tiandao sect. You barged into my Tiandao sect and forced my grand elder to kneel. Don't you think you've gone too far? The voice was very old. It should be an ancestor of the Tiandao sect. It's the old sect master. The kneeling grand elders of the Tiandao sect cried out excitedly. Perhaps in their opinion, the old sect master must have a way to deal with Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. This is a world where the strong make the rules. Everything I do is reasonable. I'll ask again, where is Lan Ruo? Why are you looking for Lan Ruo? The old sect master's voice sounded again. It's been 10 years. Do I need to explain myself to you when I want to see an old friend? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're worthy of asking me questions? Lin Feng's voice was indifferent. The expressions of the people of the Tiandao sect changed. Lin Feng's words could be said to be extremely arrogant. He didn't put the old sect master in his eyes at all. Obviously, Lin Feng had come this time. He didn't come with good intentions. Since Lan Ruo doesn't want to come out, I'll find her myself. Lin Feng's voice was cold as he walked toward the Tiandao sect. The old sect master was furious to be looked down upon and humiliated by Lin Feng, but he knew that it was best not to offend someone like Lin Feng. Unless he could kill him, if he couldn't kill the other party, there would be endless disasters. The old sect leader suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Lan Ruo is not in the sect. You should leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for not warning you. If you come forward again, you may lose your life. Ha 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 ha. How laughable. A mere heavenly Tao sect is nothing more than a mediocre sect in my eyes. How dare you say you can make me lose my life? Lin Feng laughed out loud. He continued to walk towards the heavenly Tao sect. Sect protector. Someone is threatening the safety of the heavenly Tao sect. Please wake up and protect the safety of the heavenly Tao sect. The old sect master's voice rang out. Rumble. At this moment, the 4 huge statues in front of Tiandao sect's mountain gate began to shake violently. These were the 4 divine statues. The first statue on the left had divine swords in their hands. They had protected the heavenly Tao sect for countless years. Many Tiandao sect disciples only thought that this was an ordinary stone statue. However, only the successive sect masters of the Tiandao sect knew about it. These 4 statues had a great history. These 4 statues were the 4 ancestors of the heavenly Tao sect. These 4 ancestors were not the founders of the heavenly Tao sect, but they were the protectors of the heavenly Tao sect. Back then, the heavenly Tao sect was in danger of being destroyed. It was these 4 ancestors. They turned the tide. Later, the 4 ancestors collected countless materials and created these 4 statues to guard the heavenly Tao sect, unless the sect was in danger of being destroyed. Or else, they definitely couldn't awaken the 4 statues. And today, in the eyes of the old sect leader, Lin Feng was a terrifying existence that could destroy the heavenly Tao sect. He didn't know how Lan Ruo had angered such a terrifying person, but obviously the hatred had long been formed. Now, it wasn't just a few words. It could be said clearly. Now they could only fight. Swish, swish. The 4 statues opened their eyes. Waves of divine power were emitted from the 4 statues. The 4 deity statues stepped into the void, emitting a terrifying aura. Sir, it's not too late to leave. The heavenly Tao sect doesn't want to be your enemy. The old sect leader said, if you don't want to be my enemy, let Lan Ruo come out. Don't awaken the 4 statues to deal with me. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Sir, You came with hostility. This old man had no choice but to do this. The old sect leader said, "What you did is done. There's no need to find a reason to explain." Lin Feng raised his right hand and slapped towards the 4 statues. Boom! The 4 statues exploded. Each of them was overflowing with divine power. God, for gods. Many people looked at the 4 statues in horror. Those were definitely statues that had reached the god realm. They were extremely terrifying. The cultivators of the heavenly Tao sect looked at the 4 statues with excitement. In their eyes, the 4 god-level guardian statues. They could definitely defeat Lin Feng. The 4 statues displayed extraordinary battle prowess. Lin Feng felt that these 4 statues were very similar to puppets under normal circumstances. After the puppet was successfully refined, its cultivation wouldn't weaken for many years. Just like Lin Feng's 3 poisonous puppets. For statues, it should be the same refining method. The 4 statues surrounded Lin Feng. The statue in front of him threw a punch. This divine ability was called 10,000 Gods Demon Breaking Fist. He punched out, and the shadows of countless Tao gods appeared behind him. The statue on the left used a divine ability called Death Confinement Slash. It condensed a terrifying killing light that tore through the world and slashed towards Lin Feng. The statue on the right used a divine ability called 9 Heavenly Strikes. 9 consecutive rays of destructive light blasted towards Lin Feng. The statue at the back used a divine ability called Star God Splitting Technique. These 4 divine abilities each had their own merits. Each divine ability was the top secret technique of the Heavenly Tao sect. That guy definitely won't be able to withstand the attacks of the 4 guardian statues. Sensing the battle prowess of the 4 statues, the cultivators of the Heavenly Tao sect became excited and confident. The rest of the cultivators looked up at the sky. They were all filled with shock as they looked at the battle in the sky. They didn't know who would win this battle. Would it be the young god? Or would it be the 4 guardian statues of the Heavenly Tao sect? Just 4 guardian statues. And you dare to act so fierce in front of me? You're overestimating yourself. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He raised his right hand and used the Great Calamity technique. Rumble. A loud sound shook the sky. Endless power of calamity surged out. A long river of calamity. It condensed in the void. Then, the long river of calamity swept towards the 4 statues. In an instant, the 4 statues that attacked Lin Feng, they were instantly swallowed by the long river of calamity. The 4 statues began to struggle violently in the long river of calamity. However, no matter how they struggled, they couldn't break free from the long river of calamity. How could this be? Countless people of the Heavenly Tao sect looked at the scene in the sky in horror. The 4 idols were like ordinary people who were drowning. Crack, 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 crack. Cracking sounds could be heard as the 4 statues all shattered. The broken statues fell towards the ground. They turned into 4 piles of ruins. Seeing this scene, everyone from the Heavenly Tao sect had ashen faces.